It is 6:30, and I'm calling to order our City Council work session on July 28th, 2026, and we'll have roll call. We'll begin with Mayor Pro Tem Love.
Love here.
St. Pierre here.
Krim here.
Pena here.
McShann here.
Hi, Miss here.
Gibson here.
And let's make note that Councilmember Silva is out of town, and so is Councilmember Mayfield.
I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have to approve?
And I'll second. It's a call.
Still don't think mine.
Okay, and we'll begin with Mayor Pro Tem Love.
Love, yes.
St. Pierre, yes.
Krim, yes.
Pena, yes.
McShann, yes.
Hi, Miss yes.
Gibson, yes.
All right. So we'll, invocation.
All right. Nope. Dear Lord, as we gather today to serve the community of Elgin, we ask for your guidance over the trust placed in our hands. Grant us wisdom in our decision, clarity in our discussions, and patience in our deliberation. Help us to keep the well-being of all our residents at the heart of everything we do, working together with compassion, fairness, and foresight to guide our city forward. Bless our leaders, our staff, and the citizens we represent. May our work today bring unity, progress, and peace to our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Our new business. Review and discussion of proposed City of Elgin FY 26-27 annual operating budget as presented by the city manager.
Yes.
You want me to keep reading? Including but not limited to possible discussions of revenue and expenditure projections, department budget, personnel requests, discussion of major funds, capital improvement needs, and anticipated challenges, and review of proposed tax rate and fee adjustments if applicable. City Manager Eads.
Thank you.
You got it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor, City Council members, Robert Eads for the record, City Manager. So today we start our budget workshops. I stand before you this way and only because out of respect for what we're about to do and the process that we're undertaking. As the charter states, I shall be bringing before you a balanced budget, and we will be working up to that. But the work that needs to be done prior to is critical work that must be had collaboratively, where a lot of work by the staff that stands with me today, and others that aren't present with us, have been working on for quite a few months. You may not think that or assume that, but if you look at the budget calendar and the things that have been happening and the changes that have been going on and the actions that have been made, as particular to just not budget items, but our finances as a whole and things that we've been working on and dealing with have not gone past us. We all realize what we're working through and working on. So as we work through all of that, we run a city. I dare to say we run a great city. And so I'll challenge anybody to come before me and tell me that we're not doing that. We do have some challenges like any other city, and if somebody comes up here and tells you that we don't, then they're lying to you, or they don't know enough to tell you different. So we do have those. What we've crafted, I think, is the first, thank you. What we crafted is the first of a series of workshops that will concentrate on a few things that are critical. And what I think is critical when I began here, when I interviewed, in fact, September of last year, was the one most critical thing that I mentioned, and I will continue to mention, and that's our staff, the individuals that make things work. The relationship with council is, that is symbiotic, and that must be there. The relationship with our community has to be there. Trust needs to be built and be there and be nurtured, without a doubt. But without our staff that trust us, that we recognize that we truly invest in them by making sure that we're making adjustments when we can make adjustments and being honest when we can't. That's, I think, all that our staff would expect. And so we took a brutally honest approach on what we're doing. There's a couple of things, as you remember when I got here, was there's certain things that need to have done. One primordial thing was finances, and yes, we got knee deep into that, started searching for the next finance director and all that good stuff, and we're getting to that point, and yes, we will be giving an update to this council, positive updates on that. I'm limited in what I can say because of what's an HR issue that must be dealt with through HR channels out of respect to candidates that have been approached and that have accepted a position with us. They still need to do the work on their end. Past that, though, there are other things that were challenges put before us and challenges that were made to me. One, get a rate study going for our water and wastewater rates. We got to make sure that we're paying those or charging the rates that we need to charge, because what's happening in that sense, before we get to the other types of funds, is that if we're not paying or charging what we need to charge in that respect, then that fund, it's an enterprise fund, which means that is strictly run as a business. Not when we speak to say, let's run all government as a business. You don't want to run government as a business, let me tell you right now, all government. Because if you did, you'd close the Parks Department down. You'd close the Police Department down. They don't make you money. And they save lives, right? Now let me tell you, that's what we're going to have the conversation first about is going to be general fund items. We're going to separate those two conversations to make it very clear. When you walk in, we're going to be talking about general fund, which is that this is for the betterment of our community. That's where tax dollars come in, and that's how we fund those things. Where we don't necessarily expect a return, we may charge a fee, right, to pay for some of the services, but it's not running a business. So please help me out when we're talking about running a business or not. There are certain services we have to do that with, but for the vast majority, we do not want to do that because it doesn't translate equally. Getting back to what I was charged with doing. So we kicked that off. I got some really smart people and good people, again, that work with us, so we kicked that off rather quickly with that rate study. That's coming to us and before you, City Council, exactly when, Mr. Gonzalez? August 11th. So that's just days away that we're going to present that, and we're going to show where we need to be. And it may not be something we like to see. I didn't get paid to tell you what you would like to hear. So you're going to hear what you need to hear, what I need to hear, what our community needs to hear. I will, though, also provide a path that is reasonable that we could all march forward with. Because if we're starting talking about plans that we cannot use, then they're going to be shelved just like the other plans or other things that we may have done. I've been in other cities that very expensive plans, but because if they're not reasonable, you've spent time and money for nothing. That was built into our plan, and we expect to have that before you and approved. Tonight, another plan was contrived and requested and done. You got and accepted our compensation benefit plan. Because again, one of the things that you said was, we want to make sure that we are truly answering that question from our employees, because they're coming up to us to say, I am taking another job somewhere else. Now, taking away the unsatisfaction motive, the overwork motive, the lack of trust and leadership motive, whatever their motive is outside of money, that's one thing. You start knocking those things away and you get to the core issue of being money, benefits, that sort of thing, where you got to pay the bills. And if you can drive 10 miles and get $1 more, 50 cents more an hour, and that's more than what you're paying in gas, you'll probably take that job. And so I can't do my job if I'm trying to save water in my hands. I need a bucket, because we're losing them as soon as we're able to attract them, if we're able to attract them. And so This, although we ran through it quite quickly, there was not too many questions about our compensation study. We'd like to dive into it with you a little bit more, so we're going to give that presentation to you right now. We're going to get a little specific on how the metrics were done a little bit. And because this is a budget workshop, we're able to have that open dialogue and conversation. And let me already preface this by saying too that this conversation is for all. The people that stand with me here, behind me, and don't know if we got public here, but at least the team that I stand with the city employees, we come with our eyes, ears wide open. We're honest brokers in what we're trying to do with everybody. We're truly trying to do the very best. There's been a lot of changes, let's be honest about this too. What was done in previous years in budgets, I'll be honest, I've never seen one meeting, don't need to see one meeting. I really don't care. Doesn't affect me. And so we kind of turned the table upside down and just did something from scratch. So it looks a little different, feels a little different, perhaps. Maybe that's what we need, right? But what's true is that it's going to be honest, brutal truth. But I think we all just got to be fair and honest brokers across the table as well, because we all are trying to do the very best for our communities, as we talked about when we were together and had our strategic planning session. I think you all saw that, and we're hoping we can get a lot of done. Luckily for everybody, today we're just talking about certain things. Besides this comp plan, which I think we can accomplish maybe in about 30 minutes, we're able to possibly have a break if the mayor and council so chooses. But after that is when you're going to have the more traditional departments come up to you. What may be a little less traditional is that we're going to have a lot more people from a lot different, perhaps, levels of departments come and be able to speak to you. So I think you need to hear from everybody. You need to be able to question anyone you want, all right? I will ask, please, let's maybe keep it on topic where we're talking about salaries and whatnot. And if we can do that, we're ready to be prepared to be able, if we don't have the answers for it, we're going to get you the answers, right? But like they say in, you know, Senate hearing meetings and stuff like that, these are invited, they're willing invited guests. But we are here, like I said, with open arms and open ears to be able to engage everybody in here so that we can get through this and maybe accomplish something. Last thing I'll say for logistics' sake. Can we throw it up there? Not right now? Oh, that's right, we're gonna do it later. Okay. So I'm just gonna preface this by saying one thing too. One thing that's gonna be a little bit different, and you're gonna this is gonna be fact-based and it's gotta roll through, so I apologize, I'm gonna take another couple seconds. What you're gonna see running throughout these budget workshops, which again, may be different, apologize. Believe me, at the very end, it's gonna bear the fruit that we need. And have to trust the process. So on that screen, what's gonna be happening when we get to the presentations by our staff is that we're gonna throw up a screen that's gonna be tracking not only what's being requested, which you're gonna see up on your slides, right? So you're gonna see the individual slides. Our departments come up here. They're gonna battle with you all, tooth and nail. You're gonna tell them no. You're gonna give them half of what they want. You're still gonna tell them no. You're gonna tell him 0. You're still gonna battle. We're gonna get to a little bit more. But what's gonna end up happening is there's $4.6 million right now worth of requests. For new, and today we're only talking about new salary or new positions and new equipment. That's all. We're not talking about, can we get more toilet paper? Can we get more training? Can we do that? Can we do, no, 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 no. We're requesting right now new people and new equipment, right? It's gonna be very simple. We're gonna start breaking that down and they're gonna have to go ahead and pitch it to you. They pitch it to me. And I still have some questions on some of them. And I told them, get ready because I'm gonna be brutally honest with them. And they're gonna have to go ahead and answer those questions. So before you do, I may jump in there and be like, So let's just say we have, as an example, somebody come up there and say, hey, I want 10 of these, and it costs $100,000 to do it. But you may say, well, all right, after all this conversation, great conversation with you great people, you say, hey, so I don't know, can you do 3 of those? For 30? And you're like, well, if I had to, I will. Well, kind of smells like you probably have to. Okay. Throw it up on the board, my friend. So what's going to happen is you're going to see the request, and then you're going to see 3 of those widgets for $10,000 for $30,000 up there on the board. That's the first department. Go to the next one. So we got a running tally going. See? So go through all this conversation. This is day 1. This is for new, right? Personnel and equipment. Because what's going to end up happening as we migrate over this entire process, the revenue side of this comes later when we get the final rolls settled, when we get all those dollars that we can say and solidify to say, this is what's truly estimated to come in. We know what you're requesting. It started at 4.6. You'd love to fund $1.2 million. Your revenue came in at 900,000. What you gonna do about that $300,000 gap? Well, I'm gonna tell you some scenarios that you could do. You'll figure out a couple on your own, but that's where we start doing the work. Because if we do nothing and just sit here and go back and forth on $4.6 million, we get nowhere, and we'll end up with $4.6 million worth of requests. Today, you start shaving that down to something more manageable. You start asking the questions, and that board is a massage board. It's an Excel spreadsheet. So let's just say we get down to the very end. Who knows? If there's $1.2 million worth of requests and $2 million comes out of nowhere, some lotto ticket that Mayor Pro Tem won, and she wants to donate back to the city, God bless her. Thank you very much. So now we got an extra $800,000. Remember, we had $4.5 million worth. So what do? We come back to the board and say, you remember? He wanted 2 more cop cars. Maybe we'll give him 1 more. And he wanted another park bench. Throw 2 more over there. Because I don't know how that's going to shake out, but it needs to start today. So that's a track that we're going to follow. Pretty simple stuff. You're going to see it on the board. Our community is going to see it on the board. They're going to be able to hear you, watch us. It's live streaming today. But I'm eager to get this going and first start off with the comp plan. So it's going to be a lot of what you saw already. We're going to go into the detail, and you do have exactly what's on the screens is in your packet. It's on front and back. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the police department when we start talking about the comp plan. Because what we're going to do is we're going to drill down on this so that we can explain it a little bit better in more detail as it relates to our community, this city, our departments. And the way we saw it when we got the report too, is that the biggest disparity that we see in departments is PD. We heard it, y'all saw it, and that's what logic is telling us right now, right? So as a whole, that's the biggest one to kind of look at right now and say, you can see it graphically, and we're going to show it to you again, to say if we can start working on that one today and see how we fit this through and just know it. Remember, no decisions are coming out tonight. Nothing. You're going to see this comp plan. There's nothing even to do with this. There's nothing like move this up a little, change that up a little. There's nothing. This is for information only. This will come into play a couple meetings down the road. We just want to answer questions, more clarifying questions. I think there were some questions also that we can maybe drill down on. We can get you some of those answers as well. That's what we're here today to do. All right? It's a workshop, friendly conversation, no throwing of grapes. Let's get this going, I think, and we'll call up Pam Anderson. I'm thinking somebody else. Wow. Back in the 80s. Yeah, we got another Pam here. Pam Sanders. She's from the 90s. That's our HR director, not the singer that I was thinking about. Ms. Pam Sanders, you want to come up? You start off with PD, right? I hope there you go.
jokes tonight. Good evening, Mayor and City Council and City Manager. Wrong side. All right, last week, Lori Messner from Logic Compensation Group presented the study to all of you. Like Mr. Eid said, there were some questions, so we brought it back, the slides that we believed questions existed so that we could explain them a little bit more. What you see on your slides here is the left side of the slide is our civilian staff, the right side is the police. The gray is what our current pay grades, pay structure is at. That doesn't apply to any employee specifically, it's just the pay structure. You can see how far below police department was when compared to the market. The civilian side was a little bit closer to the market, but PD was drastically lower. And y'all stop me if you have questions, okay? The top of this slide is our current pay structure for the police department, and it has all of the ranks and the steps. They get a pay increase based on every year of anniversary service in that position. With the current pay plan, we had some overlapping. If we had a more tenured officer who promoted up to a sergeant, he or she would have potentially taken a pay cut in order to go into a sergeant role. So with the new proposed plan, that is fixed. Each of the steps is more consistent. Officers will move up at 3% per step. Corporal and higher will move up at 4% per step. You'll notice on the bottom slide, commander doesn't exist there anymore because that is going to be moved to a exempt position. And we've made sure that the commander will make less than the police chief, but more than the lieutenants, even with the overtime. If you look at the very top row, you can see that cadets is 23 an hour, and I think it's 29 an hour, or 26 an hour to start. So you can see how far off we were. I also included this as an extra handout too, so it was a little bit bigger for you to read. By accepting the proposed pay plan for the police officers, we will bring the officer minimum to within 10% of the market, again, even out the steps. It will remove the steps to reduce that overlap that I was talking about. It keeps the commander maximum below the police chief minimum, and it changes the commander to an exempt position.
Pam, can we pause for just 1
Yes.
second? I just wanted to, for like newer council members, just to make sure that they understood how this, like that step program, did y'all understand? Okay, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
So in order to, if you approve the police pay scale, we will place the police officers at the pay step closest to their current pay rate. All sworn police officers will receive at least a 3% increase from where they are at now, and no employee's pay will be reduced. Do you all remember this slide from the meeting where it talked about we had one outlier? Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say that we're moving off from police, now we're going into non-police.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, we're
And then I got one more question for you, Pam. So the 3% increase, and we're talking about sworn police, that's not admin or like higher positions, or is it everybody who?
It is everybody.
Okay.
But right
I just-
now, we were just talking about police.
Perfect.
Okay. Now we're moving into civilians. So this was a slide that Logic Comp showed last week, and I saw a lot of eyes light up as far as who's the one outlier, who's the 3 outliers. I wanted to explain to make sure that everybody understood what quartile meant, and that means if you look at the first 25%, that's your first quartile. Next 50%, from 0 to 50% is your second quartile, 75% is third, and 100% is fourth. And what that means is that's in relation to the minimum versus the maximum. So our one outlier, for the record, is the city manager.
So, yes. And so, but if we further describe, as possible plan was going to keep describing, I think it almost screams at you if you look at the pie chart.
68% of our people make less than 25% of their pay grade. That includes people who have been here in excess of 5-10 years. They're still at the low end of their pay scale.
And if you add up to the 50%.
The numbers get smaller.
That's gonna be 90%, right?
If you add the two together.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that should tell you, the one good thing, the only silver lining in that is to say that there's a lot of growth potential in the front end of that. But it's telling you currently today, Will Rogers, you got a problem, Will Rogers. You don't have middle management, Will Rogers. You don't have a middle class, Will Rogers. You don't have anybody stepping up into those positions. And so,
So that kind of answers my question. That's, yeah, that middle part.
yeah.
So that's where we're kind of lacking. Got it.
So with the last comp study that the city passed, the directive was to move people to the minimum.
Mhm.
It didn't matter how long they'd been here or what value they brought, it was to get them into the pay scale because that we were so far off, and that's what the city could afford at that time. And so now this gives you a visual as to how many people are still way below that market. The next one talks, go ahead.
Sorry, no, and I was just saying market, when we say that, that's not some magic word. Y'all saw the cities too, and it's very comparable. We're talking Manor, Bastrop, surrounding cities, so we're not going off until, you know, these
Right. We
bigger,
used good comparables
yeah.
and gave consideration to geographical location. One of the things that was discussed was the city of Elgin decided they wanted to be between that 50 and 60th percentile of the market. And what that means is if you're looking at a group of 10 different companies, 50% is right in the middle. That means 5 companies pay more than we will, and 5 companies will pay less than we will. And that's kind of where we wanted to stand.
We just couldn't afford to be more aggressive at this point. I mean, we'd love to be, you know, leading the pack, and that's how they kind of ask you, do you want to lead the pack? And it's like, well, yeah, we'd love to, but we just know
can't
we
afford
can't
to.
be that leader at this point.
The funds aren't there, they're not there.
Correct.
And that's the approach that we took.
And I might be jumping ahead on this question, but I still want to stay on this slide. So when we're talking about nobody in that middle range, are we going to be looking at creating new positions that can be filled like middle manager type positions, or
We won't
are we
be
just trying to?
creating new positions. Placement for current staff will be based on tenure up to a certain amount. Logic has the calculations. And it will also give in the next slide, we talk about the job titles that will change.
Got it.
But there won't be any new positions created as a result of this study.
Okay.
So we're playing catch-up.
Yes, ma'am. We've been playing catch-up for several
A
years.
long time.
I mean, if you think about it, so total net employees, 100 and,
Right now, we have 165, but that
Okay.
includes our seasonal.
all right, so 8 is the middle. 8 people are in your middle. That's all I gotta say. There's one guy, you know, the expensive dude in the room, yeah, it's me. It's public, and that's what it is. But 8 people sit in the middle. That's above middle, I should say. And that shouldn't be true. Again, it's just like anything else. Your middle class is what drives this, and that's how you keep folks. And so you look at the better cities, and yeah, we're gonna grow into that. I'm not expecting anybody to sit here and decide, oh, we gotta jump into this, but if we don't set a path forward, we're gonna stay there or start getting those graphs to shift further left. And we're gonna be like, oh, why are we at 80% first quartile? Because everybody's leaving after 2-3 years and saying, I'm done with it. I'll pay the extra gas because they'll pay me $10 more, which covers gas and then some.
We're a stepping stone.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what we are. Or that's what we have been.
Have been.
We are
And we
wanting to
wanna-
move beyond that.
Eliminate that.
We've done very well at retaining our current staff. We're currently with a 12% turnover, which is exceptional in the HR world. We are watching the other cities around us grow, Manor, for instance, and they're doubling their pay scales. We're going to have people leaving because of money, and that's not why you want somebody to leave.
Well, we had this same conversation 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And
We've had it every year since I've been here.
then. And so I guess my problem with all of it is we do these compensation studies and we make a knee-jerk reaction and bring people up a couple of levels, and then 2 years later, we're falling back behind again. I'd like to see us.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So in the past, we've been given a box of dollars that says it fitted in this box. Today, we're not doing that. Today, we're looking at the dollars ahead of time and not shoving them into a box. Because when you shove them in a box, you can only spend what's in that box. So you
Yeah.
can't bring everybody to where they needed to be.
Yeah.
And,
the
and we
market
focused a lot
fluctuates.
on the lower
It
levels.
fluctuates here so much because of the rapid growth and
Yes.
everything else.
And I would say too, and I've been in places where it's all about choosing one or the other. So you either like fix the table or give the immediate satisfaction of just giving a high cost of living. So give a 5%, but don't fix the table. And fixing the table actually is the part where you separate the departments, because like, hell, you've been here 5 years, 10 years, and you make $20 an hour. And because you're making all these changes, whatever, so I'm walking in and I'm gonna make $19.50. You've been here 10 years and you're making $20 an hour. There's no gap separation. And so while we're creating these sort of things, that's what we're trying to true this up. And I guess what we're doing now, I think, and what I've learned and seen, and just history of what I've been doing as well, is that with this too, is that you're trying to do two things. You're trying to pay to at least cover cost of living, because that's gone up by close to 3%, if not a little bit more on some things. So that's just that. But also you're fixing the structure of it too at the same time, because I think it's been one or the other. And so 1 year you're able to do one, and the other you're able to do this. So you're falling behind or one or the other. And this, I'd love to take a bigger bite. But this one is saying, no, we're gonna stop the madness. You're actually gonna put your big work pants on. You're not gonna do it at the level you want, but this is the trust the process. This is the process you wanna take, and when you can be more aggressive, be more aggressive. But use the same system, because this is where you knock it out, or stay trying to knock it out. Because any other good city will tell you, that's the process that we used, and we got better as a community with greater development, so we had more dollars to put to it. So then we're able to do, I don't know, 4%, 5% COLA, and then we did something creative like a 2 or 3% merit. And they're like, hell, I'm never leaving the city, right? And then everybody's happy where they're at work, and then it's like, well, yeah, Bob came in, and Bob's not close to me. Like, yeah, now I'm situated. Well, we're gonna be there. It's gonna take time, and I'd love to turn on a switch, but this is that unsexy, hard, grinding work. And we're gonna lose good people, still. I love to say we're gonna keep everybody, not. But I can't sit here just looking at everybody and just be like, yeah, giving everybody everybody to have them a back door opportunity to leave. No, I gotta close some of the doors. To some of them, most of them, can't do it for all of them. And it's not gonna be with good jokes and good looks.
Let's get going.
So that's what it is.
So Pam, let me ask one more question, kind of to Liston's point, because he made a good point of how rapid everything is growing. How good, or when do you think we'll probably have to do this again?
In 3 years, 3
3
to 5
years?
years, we'll have
Okay.
to look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
In the
Okay.
past, we've looked at just getting to that market and not looking at being somewhere with a 50 or 60th%. We've been at the bottom of that market, which is why we can't keep
So
up.
we're crawling up, slowly,
Yes.
but we are crawling up.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the next slide talks about the job allocations. And what the consultant did was looked at our job descriptions and the requirements for each of our job descriptions. And some of those did change so that we had consistency across the agency. So all of your admins require the same level of experience regardless of what department they're in. And with that, then there were also some job titles that will change and some jobs will change. I didn't include all of them. I included just the first few so that it corresponded with the slide. But for example, the circulation clerk that works at the library will now be called a library clerk. That seems to be the trend. An admin assistant 1 and receptionist. If y'all remember, I had admin 1, 2, 3, and 4, clerks 1 through 5. So this kind of breaks that apart and retitles things. So an admin 1 and a receptionist will now be titled as an office assistant. A meter reader will be titled as a meter technician. An HR generalist will now be an HR specialist. That's trendy. It changes about every 3 years, so I'll be back to say. And then a code enforcement supervisor will now become a senior code enforcement officer. Most of these position title changes do not change the actual job. Except with that code enforcement, I think might be 3 total that it changes. That position no longer will be in a supervisory position because we hired a building official. So that was too many layers and very minimal people in that department. So that changes from a supervisor to a senior, and that will be the only change in that position. And while I don't have it on the slide, you have the job allocation page in front of you so you can see how things were grouped. Again, that was completed by the consultant, not by your HR department, so there's no bias involved in it. All right, they presented you with 4 options at the council meeting last week. Of course, I am gonna stand up here and recommend option 4, and I'm not gonna waver from that option, but I do wanna give you the details so that you can make an informed decision. Option 1, if we choose option 1, that puts us exactly where we were last year. We bring people to the minimum and we do nothing more. And that does not help morale at all. The cost of that is, of course, your lowest. Your police department is going to be $225,000 across the board. We've recognized that that needs to be addressed. So looking at, I'm only gonna be looking at general, which includes your utility fund and your general fund because we haven't broke those dollars out yet. But it's gonna be, I think, 93,000. I can't see. 93,
Yeah,
okay. 93,000 aside from the police departments if you do nothing more but bring people to the minimum. The next one will bring people to the minimum and apply a comp ratio. What that means is they look at what your mid is and they place you based on your years in that role up to the minimum. Up to the mid, up to the mid. And usually what happens, if you've been here 15 years, you get to mid. If you've been here 5 years, you might be 1% off the minimum. It's not a very fair placement to anybody. The next one brings employees to the minimum. It applies the comp ratio, and it ensures a 3% minimum increase for every employee under the new structure. When you do that 3% increase, no matter what you're doing is, I don't want to say replacing, but you're accounting for a COLA that you would normally get. Since I've been here, this council has been generous and given a COLA every single year. This takes care of that, so you don't have to do that in addition to this. And in option 4, before I get into that, the numbers at the bottom of this slide are the differences between option 1 and option 2. So of course, there's a huge jump between option 1 and option 2, but when you get down to from 2 to 3, that's only a $60,000 difference, and a $40,000 from 3 to 4. When I calculated the COLA, aside from a comp study, and if we were to apply a 3% COLA and nothing else, that dollar amount does include police, but it's $272,000. So keep that number in mind as we talk about this. Because if you look at your general and you minus out that $272,000 that you would normally give for a COLA, it doesn't make this jump look as big as what it does on the slide. Option 4 gives you 3% minimum, does the comp ratio, places you based on tenure through the scale, so there's full range penetration, and it gives every employee a 3% increase, regardless. That no employee's pay will be decreased.
I wish we knew what it costs to lose an employee as opposed to keeping one. In other words, every time we lose an employee, we've lost all the investment we've made in them.
Historic information
Well, yeah,
they've
it's just,
acquired.
the thing is, I think sometimes if we had that figure along with this figure, they'd probably balance each other out pretty well.
Probably so.
So in other words, we can keep doing business as is and keep losing employees and when we could have given them the raise and kept them, I don't know.
That is true.
That's kind of a weird way to look at it, but in my opinion, we'd always want to, I would want to start at option 4 and work backwards in
And-
terms of what we can do. But I don't know we're at that place yet, but
And Councilmember Krim, and just to add a little more to that, not to belabor the point, is to say when you do that as well, you're affecting the rest of the employees downline because they are picking up while we recruit others, they are picking up job duties, assignments, and everything else, and so our level of service drops because we can only stretch ourselves so thin.
we'll always use this scenario. If I pay a guy $4 an hour and put him on a $300,000 piece of equipment, he's probably not gonna take care of it as well as he would if I paid him a reasonable salary. You know, I mean, in other words, I'm gonna lose equipment and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Any other questions before I move on? So the RFQ required them to provide us with a 3-year implementation plan. And when they looked at how far off market we were, it was better for them to say, you need to address your base pay now. You don't have a lot of room to divide that up because we were so far off. So their recommendation is in year 1 that we address our base pay and set our classification as it should be. In year 2, we would apply soft pays that they talked about if funds are available, and that means the bilingual pay they talked about, the certifications for police officers or wastewater, water utility folks, and any other certifications that the city council deems appropriate for positions. That would take place in year 2. I would recommend that we do an internal study then to make sure that those dollars that they looked at hadn't changed. Because as I stand here, there are people watching this and they're going, okay, we're gonna jump ahead of Elgin now. So I would recommend that we do that again and not rely on what we have this year. Year 3 would be an opportunity to improve our benefits. And the improvement in benefits would be to enhance our vacation leave and our carryover, to enhance the contributions that the city could or would apply to dependent and spouse health coverage. There are many things that we can do with our benefits that don't cost a lot of money, but it's more appropriate to do that in year 3 because your people are looking at their paycheck today, not their health insurance.
Is parental leave something we could look at
Yes.
in that year too?
I wrote that in my vacation parental. I have about 10 items.
Okay.
I just took that slide out because I didn't want to seem.
Gotcha.
All right, that is the end of mine. Any questions that you haven't asked? Before you say anything, y'all are not doing anything tonight as far as approving anything. This will come back to y'all the second meeting in August for an approval. So that gives you time to think through, ask more questions. But we'll bring it back as a resolution at the second meeting in August.
Okay, no other questions on this particular topic? Okay, so it is 7:13, and I'm gonna give you a break to grab something to eat.
3 minutes?
No, 3 minutes, it's too many. 10? My gatekeeper has said 10. Okay, so, so we will adjourn at 7:13, and we'll be back at 7:23. It is 7:23, and we're reconvening after a short break, and we will pick up with department budget requests, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Eads.
Wonderful. So you can give us a couple seconds here, Mayor. We're loading up. We're going to get our screen up, the one that we're talking about, and we welcome everybody back. And so we have a slate of departments that are going to come before you. And we'll load these up for you. As we present the order that we're going to begin with, and the way these are going to go, so we'll have the department requests come up. I believe the first is our city secretary. And so just before you start, Ms. City Secretary. So just if we look over here to the right, and what you'll see, and we're going to probably wait for Esmeralda to. Wait for. Wait for Pam. Wait for Pam. Not Ez. So, I know it may be tough for some people in the room to see, but generally speaking, what you're going to be seeing are a bunch of different columns, and we'll be able to hide some. We're going to see some things that we don't need to repeatedly see, so there's a way to hide those columns as need be. But on the left, you're going to see the department that's calling them out, the name of the item that's being requested, the category, if it's going to be a personnel or if it's going to be a piece of equipment, the itemized cost of it, which we've already pre-plugged, which by the way are going to be exactly the ones that you're going to see right now, but Pam has already pre-plugged those in here, so we don't have to do it again. If it's going to be a new item, because again, this is going to be for not personnel, this is for, this is going to be for personnel or equipment. But if the equipment's going to be new equipment or is it going to be a replacement of equipment, then also we're going to be talking about if this is also going to help to bring levels of service up, if it's going to maintain levels of service, and most importantly, as we discussed, and those notes are going to be also key points for our staff to work off of. The last column, which is going to be, I guess that'd be column G, for all you that are able to see that, that's where we're going to start tallying up. And so right there, I think there's already one dollar amount in there, which would be the comp study at $44,592, if I'm not mistaken. What is that?
I think that we were just checking.
Oh, delete that, please. Let's start off with 0. So if we go to the very bottom, right? So hit enter. There shouldn't be it should be clear if it's still there. Delete that. There we go. All right. So if you can tell, if you go to the D, this is we got a couple hands going on. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So we're looking at the very bottom of the page. And what I'm showing here is the grand total from all the departments at the request that you're going to hear tonight is going to be a grand total of $4.648,648. Now that shouldn't be shocking to anybody because that's typically what it's, well, I take that back. Don't know what it's typically been brought at. But I've asked the staff to be very honest and ask what you're going to ask, but be prepared to fight tooth and nail with whatever's going to come out of your mouth. Because I will ask the same hard questions of you too, so don't put anything up there that you'd be embarrassed to talk about. So then as we're running the tally on that recommendation item is where we're gonna start putting those numbers up there. And see how this will just keep flowing. And we'll travel with this for the next conversation when we're talking about other things. When we're talking, again, we get back to then, hey, let's talk about the money that we have to talk about. how much are we bringing in, sales tax, property tax, all that kind of stuff. We can marry it up with, well, we started at 4.6, we're now at like 1.6. We're making, like 1.3 million or 1.2. Let's start making a difference. You're seeing the side by side, and you get to start picking your favorite kids, right? Because then you can start to actually prioritize stuff. So, having said that, don't mess this up. Do great. I know you're gonna do great.
You're making a nervous.
City Secretary, let's get this rolling.
All right, good evening, council. So what I am requesting this year is a new person, a new body. I need a records clerk. So this is to account for the growth of the city, and this is to maintain the legally required level of service. So the city secretary's office is responsible for the 3 prongs of open government, that being open meetings, public information, and lastly, but everybody kind of forgets about it, records management and preservation, okay? So I'm also responsible for, on a side note, elections, council requests, boards and commissions, nonprofit grants, agendas, agenda packets, on and on and on, okay?
Excuse me, Peyton, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Just a quick note, when we're bringing these folks, this figure will bring them in with what we're trying to accomplish? with
Yes.
it? Okay.
This is, I'm not sure how to say it. Yeah.
It reaches the minimum.
Minimum base pay only for the new pay structure. Okay,
With the new
yeah.
pay chart,
Yes.
right? So let's assume that it's with a 3% already included, but at the very minimum. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the city secretary's office, this does not include the police department, I might add, has seen a 46.3% increase in the number of requests for the first 7 months of this year, this calendar year, compared to the same 7 months in 2025. So I've received over 180 requests, public information requests this year.
186 public information.
A little over 180. They're rolling in, so I can't give you an exact number because I'm pretty sure I just got 2. So I've seen a 77% increase in the number of requests for the first 7 months compared to 2024, which we'd only received 100 requests. Okay, so I have increased from 2024, just these 7 months, by 80 requests. I roughly spend about 3 hours average for each request. And over 30 requests have been sent to the Attorney General's office for an opinion this calendar year, and that's kind of an estimate. Some of those include PD ones that I've sent off for them, since those also go through my office. This is an example of one of the requests that I've gotten. As you can see, it's about 3 pages long. This position would address the strain that is placed on my office. It's designed to alleviate strain on the department to focus on council priorities, including Elgin 101, bringing things like that back, assisting with staying on top of council requests, devoting more time to training staff, council, boards and commissions, etc. They'll also be reorganizing, reclassifying, maintaining, and appropriately destroying records, which the city is behind on because we're not currently able to maintain that portion. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
And you said that this would include possibly bringing back the Elgin 101?
Well, so this would alleviate the strain on my office. So like I said, I'm the one doing these public information requests. I also collaborate with all of the other departments. Most of these requests require at least a minimum of 2 departments. So they'll be doing that for me, and I can focus on priorities like reviving Elgin 101. Okay.
If I could just ask one question. So say that the level of requests do go down. Let us pray, right? If they went down, what would this person continue to do? I know you said the keeping of the records and all of that. So just if you could just elaborate just a bit on that.
Yeah, of course. So to put that a little bit more in perspective, we currently have 2 storage units full of boxes of paper records that we need to inventory. We need to properly store some of them. Some of them are historical documents. And then we also need to maintain a destruction schedule for records that meet retention. And right now, I'm going to be honest with you, I can't do it.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll go take a seat.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think what the discussion could possibly be, and let me just start with that. I think there needs to be some dialogue in a lot of this, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna end up with $4.6 million worth of totals at the bottom, or zero. And so, I think really, and there's no finality to any of this. Remember, we're gonna have a lot of other meetings that's gonna discuss a lot of these things. And I know it's tough to start making lists at this point, because I don't have even the knowledge of what the money looks like at the very end. But what I would say is, this should be almost a priority list, if nothing else, of things that you deem to be high priority. And look, by the time the middle of the meeting happens, you may be scrubbing some of this, or you may be moving things out, and you may be saying, look, you had a really good presentation, Reagan, but, you know, we're just overblown. Look, we can get to the very end, and we could be at $2.6 million, and I can tell y'all, we didn't do much work. And so, the exercise could go without that, and we could just work and just leave without we just walk around with knowing, like, I heard you, I get it, I wrote that kind of down. But what's gonna end up probably happening is you're gonna have to remember the conversation later, and that's what I did not want to happen. Is that to have a little bit of conversation and say, like, there is some work to it, I get it, and there's no motions to be made. Again, this is just a conversation to say, yeah, there's deems to be probably more than not, or maybe not, to be able to put on that, because if you're asking me, in my opinion, it goes up there because I see it's across the hallway from me every day, and there's plenty of work to do. But you ultimately have to vote for it, and I'm voting for it just as blindly, and not maybe just as blindly. I do have more background information on some of the finances, but as for priority, that's a critical component. That has legal attachments that, with all due respect to some of the departments in here, they don't. Like, if you want to get cross with somebody like the Attorney General, mess with her department, right? Mess with an election, fail to meet a deadline. And that's sort of the introspection, I think, then will need to happen, and to be like more critical on some others, is to say, look, if we only have so much, we cannot miss deadlines for these purposes. We cannot miss critical infrastructure for these residents. We grew 10 more square miles, so we need police coverage in those areas. That sort of conversation, you know what I'm saying? So, Mayor, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I would suggest in those terms, this to me would be almost a mission critical component, with the caveat to say, it still has that question, does it carry the same weight throughout the entire year, and does that have enough work behind it? I think the question was valid. I think Peyton was well spoken in saying that, to where elections haven't gotten easier. So, and where we're backed up today, I don't know how to catch that up, and it's not going to be just by getting a couple of guys out of Public Works. Thank you, Public Works. But it's going to take some serious people that are on deadline, on point, and that's not going to happen unless it's housed out of her office. So, my suggestion is, consider it, please, to put it on at least the consideration board, and that's what if you want to call it that, we'll call it that. Not even recommendations, considerations, and we'll keep going down. If it looks too heavy for you guys, come back up, and we'll chop it off and just keep going. But start making some of these priorities, and some are just like, yeah, that may be a little bit too much right now. We just can't do that this year.
So I agree with you, Robert. So one of the biggest things that jumped out to me is when she said that her office is in charge of the 3 prongs of open government. One of the biggest things that we've had conversations about as a council, as a community, is transparency. And so if we want to foster that, we need to make sure that we have the people to do that. So, and I think that fills a gap that's obviously there.
I think that would be a priority, especially with a 77% increase from 2024 and 30 opinions going to the AG's office. That's a whole lot of time.
And one question I would ask to that, so when we talk about those 30 that go to the AG, I'm just making an assumption, I don't know, but does that require more man-hours to get those to them?
Yes, significantly more. So that also includes coordinating with our attorneys, and if we have to bring in a different attorney, which we did when I was on maternity leave. So Mark can help us with some of this stuff, but we had to bring in a different one because some of this stuff is specialized. So when we send things off to the Attorney General, we have to collect all of the information well ahead of time so that it can be sent to the attorneys so that they can get a brief written, and we have to kind of explain why we would like to withhold the information. The city operates as like public information is public information. There are certain things that we can't release, like critical infrastructure. So we have to coordinate with Bo, we have to get those maps, we have to do that. So I don't know if that answered your question, actually.
No, it does, it does. Thank you, Peyton.
Okay.
So I think it's simple as that. There's no vote to be had. I mean, if it just seems to be that that's kind of like the going thing, just say, just slap it on the board and let's move on to the next one and keep going.
So we're not voting or taking any notes, you
No,
just want
ma'am.
us to say, let's put it on the board?
Yeah. And then you
Put it
come
on
back.
the board.
Yeah. In 30
Yep.
minutes, you could say, take it off the board. Let's
Yeah.
keep going. How about
Okay.
that?
Goes on the board, yes.
Next.
All right. For HR, the one thing that I'm asking for is that you implement the comp study as presented and recommended. You all know the price associated with that, but it is a to-be-determined amount based on what option you all select. The next item is for our IT department. HR oversees IT and has since the last 6 years, I believe. Heidi Rodriguez is our new IT person, and she's back here.
Say hello.
I didn't want to throw her to the fire on, she's
Throw it
been
to
here
the wolves.
a couple of months. Anyway, we have made strides since she started. We've started a new help desk ticketing system, which is something that they've attempted and we've never gotten there until now. The amount of IT needs in the city is tremendous. The PD alone can keep somebody busy for 40-plus hours a week. And that doesn't even touch the other departments. The library has patron computers that are constantly having to be overseen and updated and replaced. So we are asking for an additional IT technician. We've also considered maybe an IT intern if that rate's a little bit better. But we're looking at technician now, so we could have somebody with boots on the ground. And we've listed the reasons why. I can't see them because I don't have my glasses on, but they're all there.
Yep. So what I did want to point out too before we kind of move past that one as well, so just understand also, Heidi who joined us today, she actually replaces a position. She
Yes.
wasn't an add-on.
Correct.
And so she's covering very well and covering more ground, a lot of ground. But guys, I'll be honest with you, I come from a background in IT as well. We've been getting away with a lot of stuff. And I'm not gonna say that too loud, but we just been getting away with a lot of stuff, and we need to get serious about what we're doing here. And we're getting bigger, and there's no reason why there's no reason why our IT department should have one paid employee. Let me say that again. One paid employee for our entire government, and one contractor.
We do, yes, we still use a third party mostly for off-site backups and support to our IT personnel.
So, you know,
Is that bullet point that says reduce dependency on outside vendors?
Yes,
That would be for that. Roughly about how much are we expending on that one?
about 20,000 a month.
Oh.
It's significant,
For the
Yes.
third party?
yes. So we would review that contract, yes.
With an employee as opposed to,
Continuing to pay the contract as it is. We would still keep the third party because the off-site backup is huge for us. So there would be some reevaluation of the current contract and re-rating and that kind of stuff. So we would still employ the third party. It would just be at a reduced rate and reduced need.
do you have any idea of what that
I
rate would
don't.
be? No?
well,
I haven't done any surveys to see what everybody's charging.
Okay.
I know the level of service
If
though.
it's not less, then we would change contractors.
Yeah. But the number of hours, based on what we've learned from internal reviews with current staff, we've identified a lot of things that we could be doing ourselves in-house. That, yeah, we'll bring down that number and then at a possibly different rate as well. So this is a huge opportunity. And yeah, I'll be honest with you. I had to stop at one. I've suggested more than that, but we'll take one. Just double the size of IT.
We'll ask for
For me,
another one the
please.
next year.
Yeah.
And I just want, oh, so sorry, I'm here. But I just want to go back to the first part when you said that help desk ticket. Is that an internal thing? Or
It's
is
an
that-
internal thing,
Okay,
yes.
just want to, yeah. Okay.
And on the third party, when you say he's doing outside stuff, what exactly
Oh.
is that?
Our backup of our system, they do it off-site.
Gotcha.
And they manage our cybersecurity right now.
But he's not our employee, so
Correct.
that's another,
Hmm.
it's hard to keep control of contractors
Yeah.
when they're not under you.
Mm-hmm.
So quality is different.
Yeah. So with the new person coming in, allegedly, supposedly, proposed, is there a way that we can eventually work toward doing our own backup and cybersecurity?
Yes. I mean, that's gonna be a few years down the line. There are some priorities first. And of course, you're gonna need more than 2 people
Right.
to really do a good job. And again, we can start with an IT intern, but it would be nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing and can get boots on the ground. I'm negotiating.
No, there's no negotiation. I think we need a full-time employee and add interns. I'm serious.
You're gonna be at 4.6 in no
One.
time.
I think it's
One,
him we need to worry about.
look, I'm telling you, one bad actor will
Okay
cause
with-
mayhem.
I'm okay with seeing this on the list up
Yeah.
there, but is there any way that within like the next week or so, you can find me out that information of what that cost reduction?
I have a meeting with them August 7th to start the conversation.
Okay,
So I don't know that they'll have something produced at that point, but it's to start the conversation of the direction we're headed.
okay,
So soon.
okay.
Are y'all done with me?
Okay, so are we putting board?
I mean,
Pam,
I think, yeah. Yeah.
just real quick, Pam, on the compensation study, that's something we've already approved, though, right?
No, you have not.
We
We
have not.
accepted the
No,
finding,
you've
yeah.
accepted it.
We accepted it,
And what
okay.
that means is that you're closing out that consultant's
I
contract.
see.
They did their
Okay.
job.
Okay. Kind of committed to it, yeah.
Correct. Next, we're gonna have Yachty from municipal court come up.
Oh, hold up, we haven't done the board. Are we doing both these?
Well, that's
Yeah.
me.
She's doing
I
it.
gotta do that. I gotta go sit down and do
She's
it.
got both jobs, Madam Mayor.
My bad.
Yeah.
I
Multitasking.
didn't hear anybody else saying it, that's why I'm saying, we do want that on the board.
So, I know, and I know staff might kill me with this, but I know the commitment for how much and which part of the comp study implementation, but I know that might be too much to bite right now on selecting 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're comfortable today with where you want to be on that, it makes our life easier to try to work the math on it. We're comfortable in stating we know where we want to be on that, which is option 4, for
Have
a
you
lot
have to
of
work the
reasons.
math on option 4 since
Mhm.
staff recommended option 4?
Mhm.
We're recommending also, but I will tell you as a city manager, I want you to be comfortable with even putting that big number on the board. So,
You're gonna
Yeah.
need to see that number in the
Yeah,
end
that,
anyway.
yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
asking, yeah.
so you don't have to fill numbers out there just to fill a number. You can say, we can skip that one and just put maybe the IT one. We're a little comfortable that way. Because you can always put it back and bring it on. You don't have to say 1 or 3, or you can just say, let's talk about that one in a little bit. you have that option too. Although
I
I
think
know
seeing
staff
the
wants
numbers.
something
Yeah,
different.
right, I think
I gotta
seeing a
be
number
brutally
is
honest.
good, cause
Yeah.
looking at this, I mean, we're just looking, I think seeing a number,
But
we
it-
can gauge where we are.
Put it.
Yeah.
648,
679.
679,
This-
round it off 680.
679, yes.
Give a tip to, the outside,
No.
679. Okay.
All right,
Between 3 and 4, and what
Between-
is implied with that?
between 3 and 4, it was
$40,000
$40,000 difference between the two.
You're splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and you're getting only one.
because we
of the
hire
two
people
things
at
you
more
need
than
to
that.
yeah.
Your biggest jump is from 1 to 2, because 1 doesn't
Yeah.
have the.
Mm-hmm,
All right, y'all ready?
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Yottie's gonna come up, and I'm gonna stand over here in case she needs some help.
Good evening, council, mayor. I came before you to request a new personnel that will be serving the court as the juvenile case manager. As some of you may remember, legislation passed the House Bill 3186 back in 2024 that required all courts to implement a youth diversion plan. And this person will be in charge of implementing any strategies for juveniles to reduce recidivism, and then also to avoid adjudicating them in the court in a criminal case. I don't know if y'all have questions.
Yeah.
This was passed in January 2025. Yachty has assumed that role in addition to her current duties. And so this would help relieve her so that she can focus more on what a court administrator is supposed to be doing.
So this is something that's been mandated by law.
Correct.
So we need to be in compliance.
The next thing that we are requesting is for part-time bailiff. At this time, court security is being provided by the police department. We have a bailiff, and then when we have open court with the judge, she does require for us to have 2 officers. And sometimes we pull away from the CID, one of the officers there, to help out on Mondays. But at this time, I'm being told there may be conflict in scheduling for next year. So we are trying to prepare to open up those positions for next year.
Todd Johnson, Commander of the Police Department. So years back, when we were a much smaller department, they were a much smaller court, we just had a part-time officer going over to be a bailiff when they had court. Usually it was twice a week, something like that. As we've gotten bigger as a department, those positions are actually working all day. So, and court's having a lot more court. So the people that are handling the bailiffs part-time, they're working in the evidence room. They're having to leave that to go do bailiff. Possibly, if we have a crime scene, they can get pulled away. Now the judge is left with no bailiff in the middle of court. So we've been trying to schedule it and make it fit where we can in the holes, really the last couple of years. Just kind of working with them. Sometimes they'll have to reschedule court, but we've always been able to make it work. But now it's getting to the point where our evidence needs are a lot greater, so our time is a lot less to pull away. And then when we do pull away, it's not guaranteed that they can stay there in the court, and you have to have somebody guaranteed in the court during the hearing. So.
Is the part-time position, who's the administrator over the position? Would it be PD or the court?
It would be
Right.
the court. They're asking for two bailiffs, but it'd be the court.
So you'd just be,
essentially be us, but they will need to be commissioned.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But you,
That
so
was
you're,
my- that
you'd
was
be
my
looking for somebody willing to work part-time, maybe from another department or somewhere, or whatever. Yeah.
Typically for the bailiffs, you'll find retired
Yeah.
officers that still have a
Yeah.
commission that'll do it, or that are working full-time at a different position, they'll do that on their, usually they'll have an easier schedule, so they'll coordinate their time to come in part-time for a bailiff spot.
And the 7,000, this is for the whole year? Correct?
That's for each
Right,
bailiff.
yeah, so 14 total, but 7,000 for the entire year, for one.
Yes, we have court twice a month, sometimes 3. That's the number that we pay.
It fluctuates because court always fluctuates. You could have 5 defendants, you could have 1, you could start off with 5 and only 1 show up, so it's kind of a good estimate based on prior years.
Can we put 1 on the board for right now?
Yeah, the mandated one is to go on the court. Did you?
Well, I'm talking about the bailiff. I'm talking about just a 7,000 instead of 14. That's just my recommendation, but then the mandated one, yes, we
Yeah.
need that one.
Yeah, the only issue with that is for court, for certain court hearings, 1 officer comes over.
Mhm.
For a true trial, jury trial, 2 have to be, because 1 has to be by the entrance, and 1 has to be up by the judge, where the defendant would be. So that would still leave 1 spot open to have to be covered with a non-duty officer.
Go ahead and put them both on there for now, and we'll look at the number in a minute. And the case manager.
And the case manager.
And the case, yeah, because that's the mandate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody do know, like, eventually we're gonna have to
I
say
know
no to
that.
somebody.
Yeah, that's why I was like, let's start with a small one first, where we just put
I'm just
1.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But you can get all hungry all you want, but you're gonna have to come back.
I
and
know.
get
Right.
Get on a diet fast. So,
I don't know about nothing about a diet.
That's what you get for eating that lettuce.
I know.
all right.
Christine?
Christina. Ms. Alvarez.
Hello, Council and Mayor. Christina Alvarez, Main Street Manager. I was gonna say, my boss is gonna come up here with me and talk about the Tahoe replacement. Do you wanna do that first? Okay, we are asking for an event coordinator position. I'm still covering a lot of Amy's position, and so we would like to move the admin to our event coordinator to open that position up, so we would have a staff of 3. That would help us be able to make sure all the events are coordinated. It would give me more time for business development. I attended the governor's business development thing last year and have not had time to implement any of those ideas for our downtown businesses. So it would just increase our capacity and really help us out. We're still doing the job of 3 people. We're just doing it with 2. You don't have any questions?
Can you clarify Ulysses' role right now? Would he be the coordinator? Was there any or is this a totally different?
Totally
mix?
different, totally
Gotcha,
different.
Gotcha.
We have never had an event coordinator.
And the one we did was contracted during the sesquicentennial.
Exactly, and we have actually paid a local community member to come in and do that for us when times get really tight. It would be nice to have that as a full-time and not have to pay a contract fee.
So that's a good question. So do we know roughly how much that contractor costed us during the 150?
We do. We know what we paid her in '24. I did not bring those numbers. She
okay.
is not available as much in '25 and, in '26, and will not be available in '27. She has taken another job, and with her retirement, she can only work so much a year. So her hours for us have dwindled, which mean like Dia de los Muertos, Holiday by the Tracks, a lot of that will be internal again this year.
So I got a question. This is a qualifying position for hotel occupancy tax. I'm not saying entirely. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's
A
possible for
percentage,
somebody.
yeah,
Right?
Okay.
a percentage.
Good call out.
Just saying a note to the side, maybe.
Or even if I'm opened up for more tourism, a percentage of mine could go to that.
Oh, we're rating that already. So yeah, we're gonna get to you.
Can I get you on record for that?
Taking rating your salary? Oh, that can be on
I
record.
thought you meant my salary. You meant hotel motel tax.
Oh, no. I said your salary. In a positive way.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Y'all are all welcome to come to my office as we get closer to Hog Eye and see what it's like.
Oh.
Sorry, now that you said that, no joke, I got 3 pigs in my truck. 3 little piggies. They're yours. They're about this big.
Yeah, I was like, real pigs?
I'm just saying, they're 3 pigs, I gotta take you.
I'm like, is nobody gonna talk to PD that you got real pigs?
They're non-edible, they're actually just, they're decorations. I'm not allowed to bring more decorations in the city hall.
It's like nobody's saying that.
Yeah, no, I can't. Go ahead, Mr., who are you again?
Evening, Council. Michael Gonzalez, Public Works Director, and helping out with leadership in the Community Services Department. Thank you, Council and Mayor, for having me. Thank you, Mr. Robert Eads,
Thank you so
for
much.
extending the invite to me. I appreciate
day.
that. Excellent job. And I'd like to say and add that with that community events that we're going through, if you've been downtown with some of the events that we have going on, it's getting kind of wild. It's getting kind of crazy out there. At the height of our parade madness, I think we had 8 parades a year. There's 52 weekends in the year, and 8 of those, a parade was going on downtown. And we've kind of reduced that a little bit, but the special events that are happening in and around town is just, it's, in our staff's opinion, it has the need for one of those. Another thing that we're doing is we're going to a lot of trainings, definitely with the downtown group. The Community Services Division, pre-existing, is going to a lot of trainings. They're making Elgin known amongst the state. And what we do is we challenge these staff to go to those trainings outside of our city limits in their own vehicle. You can get mileage reimbursement, and that's something that you can do, but we like to send them off in a way that we know is kind of a safe, newer vehicle to make sure they can get there. Another thing, when they get there, we have Elgin's name branded on the side of the vehicle. You're looking around the parking lot and you see Kyle, Seguin, Schertz, Cibolo, and you're like, why can't we get an Elgin? Definitely up there, not as one of those life and safety things like we might consider a police car or something like that. Something that the staff considers a need for us as we travel around the state. What we'll say, though, is this is amongst the Community Services Division as a whole. So Main Street's going to a lot of trainings. The Parks Division is going to TRAPS. That's the Texas Parks and Recreation Society. And then the library is going to some trainings as well. So it's shared amongst those different departments. And that's where it'll be kept in fleet and kind of issued out to the department that's going on a travel training trip. Where one of the wheels fell off.
Yeah, I see, it's undrivable.
Yeah, she was driving, by the way, so that's not cool. Yeah, on business. So.
Christina,
Yeah,
how
that's
many,
not cool.
I think I've heard a figure before of 60 or something like that. How many actual events a year do you guys, are you involved with?
The city itself, I want to say 10 to 12, but downtown there is 30 to 60 events.
30, 60
And
events.
all the event coordination that comes before council comes through our office.
Yeah.
So we're
That's what
responsible
I'm
for
saying.
gathering that information.
You have a hand in pretty much all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about events.
And so all that data that's gathered, that's brought to y'all on cost, comes through our office as well.
Right. If they apply for park permits or anything, that goes through your office. Yeah.
Yeah, Uriel's doing all that.
And I've seen that raggedy old car. I get out of the way. when it's looking.
Sheila
I was
O.
familiar with it, and I was the one driving it when the wheel came off.
Huh, it's not-
It was an adventure.
We don't have any liability there.
Any questions? Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Next item. Oh. It's a good presentation. You're gonna wrap up community service, see what you want to throw on the board. Is that your approach here?
That's right.
Go through them all?
Come on up.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Good evening. I am Heather Fowler. I serve as the Library Services Manager for the Elgin Public Library. Tonight I am presenting a request for 2 full-time positions for the upcoming year, a peer support specialist and a marketing outreach specialist. And to just ensure that I keep on track here, I'm going to look at my notes. I want to be entirely clear right from the start. Neither of these positions is being requested to launch new standalone programs. Instead, both roles are explicitly requested to absorb our current overwhelming service demands. This investment will immediately stabilize our daily library operations today, while establishing a solid foundation for future service expansion as our community grows. Here is why these positions are necessary. First, I'm going to begin with the peer support specialist, which secures a highly successful existing function. This role has been fully funded by the St. David's Foundation grant, which officially concludes this December. Because of this timeline, the city will not be paying this salary until January of 2027. This specialist serves as a vital pillar for all standard adult programming and sustains 4 critical mental health initiatives that our residents rely on daily. Because this role requires a mandatory state of Texas certification, this sensitive workload cannot safely or legally fall onto regular library staff. Funding for this position simply moves a proven essential service from temporary grant funding to a permanent municipal function. Second, I'm going to move on to the marketing and outreach specialist. Over the past year, our library experienced a 22.6% year-over-year surge in new registered patrons. To keep pace with this influx, we had to increase our monthly programming by 30%, jumping from 90 to 115 regular programs a month. And this does not include any special events that we do. So if we were to take those into account, it's going to run well over 1,400 for the year. Currently, our tech clerk shouldered the heavy daily burden of all the multimedia content creation, graphic designs, and digital engagement. This has pulled them away from their core responsibilities. Adding this specialist will centralize our marketing and mobile pop-up outreach, finally freeing our tech position to return to library database management. By approving these 2 positions, council is not expansion building. You're stabilizing the core database systems of your library and securing a vital public safety net that already exists. Thank you so much for your time. Do y'all have any questions? I will attempt.
You wouldn't actually be looking for the full 39,686 because part of your grant funding goes through December, right? You'd
That's
be-
correct.
You'd be asking for the remainder.
Correct.
for
Well,
the
The
year.
yeah,
difference.
starting January 1.
Starting
That's it.
January.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
27.
Whatever that figure would be.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there we go.
But you're correct, sir. Do you want it? We'll get you that.
Okay. $10,000.
29.7?
29,700.
29.7. All right.
And really quick, Heather, can you just, I missed it, I heard it, but I missed it, the percentage of increase?
Okay, so for our library and patronage was, yeah, close to 23%. And then we increased our programming 30% just within the last 12 months.
Okay. Yes, y'all are super busy. I like to take my daughter there and, yeah.
Thank
it's,
you
it's
so
a lot
much.
of people.
Yes, and I do see you in there, so I
Yeah.
really appreciate your support and
Yeah.
bringing your family.
Thank you.
Children are our future.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, they are.
And libraries, kids who read have been proven, they do better in school, they do better in life skills. I think that it's extremely important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Libraries are very important. Yep.
I say put it on the board.
It's on there.
Thank you so
on.
much.
Thank you. We're gonna have to say no soon.
Okay, Michael.
Say it.
Now we got Reagan coming.
Say it. Because you know me.
It's kind of adding up.
I know it is.
Well, then also, I think another thing that we could probably see,
Sergeant Marshall.
I don't know, I probably might get a little bit more questions, but the marketing outreach, could that be a part-time position too? Because I don't think.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Reagan Anderson. I am the Recreation Program Manager for the City of Elgin here. I actually got a handout.
Look, he came prepared. Thanks.
I'm probably going to go a little out of order than what's on the board. But first, I'm going to just give a little bit of background into myself, just kind of help set the stage a little bit. I've worked in a number of different facilities throughout my career, community services, as well as municipal utility districts, cities, nonprofit organizations, all of which in a community center aspect, a recreation center aspect. So a lot of what I've done in my last 4 months here at the city is kind of look and talk to staff, talk to patrons that are coming in, and get a feel for what is the city of Elgin missing? What is other places that I've been to? What have other places that I know people that work at and I've lived in and all that kind of fun stuff have that the patrons here, the community members here, all wish to see. So one of those things, and just in general, is a replacement plan for the equipment. Actually all of the equipment in the weight room is current to when the building was originally built. And if you see in that handout I just gave you, a lot of stuff is supposed to be replaced a lot faster than what is currently happening. So essentially, we would be asking for $20,000 this year to start a replacement plan for that equipment, starting with cardio and some dumbbell-related weight stuff. We have a lot of people that come into our facility. We average about 4,500 people a month that come into the rec center. That comes out to about 150 people a day that are coming in and using that facility. And what you don't want is you don't want people to come in and see out of order signs on all the machines. Typically what happens is if something breaks, we don't have staff in the city to fix it. We have to put it in an order, call somebody. It takes 3 to 4, sometimes 5 days before they finally come out. And then, of course, they don't have the part. So then they have to come back another 3 or 4 or 5 days later, and all of a sudden, one of the machines, one of the cardio equipment that people come in and use is been out of service for 2 weeks. Now all of a sudden, we're catching flack on all that kind of fun stuff. Moving down the list, I'm actually going to skip the full-time position from now and save that for last. We're asking for 2 part-time positions, one front desk / fitness. Our recreation center is open crazy amount of hours. If you look at it compared to any other building in the city, if you look at it compared to any other recreation center in the area, the recreation center is open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's open 8 to 8 on Saturday, and it's open 12 to 8 on Sunday. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of manpower that you need to be able to operate that building effectively and efficiently. And right now we're operating on a basis that if one person calls in sick, we're scrambling. It's all hands on deck, calling everybody who can come in. Now we're pushing people over hours. Now we're having overtime, all that kind of fun stuff. So adding an extra position here would alleviate a lot of that stress. It would make sure that we're able to operate and be more present in the building as we can have more staff scheduled at a time. Right now we operate pretty lean where sometimes there is only 1 or 2 people in the building. And if we have people at the front desk that need help, both those people are at the front desk helping them. Something may or may not happen in the gym that they need help, and we're just not able to be everywhere all the time. So adding this position would greatly affect that. And trying to get a 2-for-1 here, what I like to do with a lot of part-time positions is give them a specialty. It gives them a little bit more sense of ownership in their day-to-day life, rather than just feeling like they're sitting at the front desk just checking people in. So one thing that I feel very strongly about is our fitness in that area. We have a lot of great fitness programs, but we could do a lot better. So having someone dedicated come in, working the front desk, having that man coverage, but also being able to then step aside and look at the fitness schedule during downtime, reaching out to new contractors, new instructors, getting new programs going, all that kind of fun stuff. We have the space. We have the ability to do those types of things currently. We just don't have the manpower or the time to be able to make it happen currently. Secondly, a marketing programming assistant. We offer a lot of wonderful programs. We have 3 very, very good programmers that do things weekly, monthly, special events, all that kind of fun stuff. Right now, the way it kind of works between the programmers and the recreation center staff is they each kind of all do their own programming. Their own marketing. And what that kind of relates to is when you start looking at the newsletters, you start looking at the Instagram posts, you start looking at Facebook and all that kind of stuff, you get a lot of not unified voice. Things get lost in the mud, things forget to get posted, all of that kind of stuff. So having one person be able to come in on a part-time level and look at all of that stuff and kind of wrap their mind around it and give the city one voice, give the department one voice, and be able to help in other departments as well, would go a long way to making sure that all of the programs that we're offering, especially the free ones that we're already supplementing, are being known about. And we have great programs with, for instance, this past Friday we had Splash. We had 250 people show up for Splash on Friday. This coming Friday we have the block party at Veterans. And we market all those things, and we just need the marketing programmer to come in. They're also going to do community engagement, make sure that what we're offering is what the community wants to see. So they'll come in, they'll be the front force on surveys, hitting the ground, going to Sip, Shop, and Stroll, and all of those types of things, driving the Rec on the Go, the mobile rec van out to all those types of things, and really hitting the community and making sure that what we're doing is what the community wants us to be doing. Lastly, the full-time athletics aquatics coordinator. This is one that I hold pretty closely to my heart just because it's a role that I came up in as I was coming up through Parks and Recreation. I oversaw athletics prior to this role in Georgetown. And one nice thing about athletics and aquatics, for that matter, is it is a generator for hot tax. So a lot of things that this position does are big programs that drive in select teams. They drive in sporting tournaments and all that kind of stuff. People coming into the city from outside the city to stay overnight because they have soccer tournament on Saturday and then following into Sunday, and they're doing those tournaments in the morning, and then they're hanging out in the city in the afternoon and the evening, and then they're staying the night and doing it all over again on Sunday. I'm going to read a little bit more verbatim here, but a lot of what this position would add would they'd be looking at athletic rentals. Currently, we don't really have anyone that monitors athletic rentals. All the athletic facilities in the city are just kind of first come, first serve, up for grabs. We do have a process in terms of who can rent them and how they can be rented, but we don't have a regulation system there to make sure that's what's happening. So this person would come in and make sure that anything that's being used in a way that should be a rental is being paid as a rental. They would add internal youth and adult athletic programmings. Currently, as far as athletics goes for the city of Elgin, we currently offer an adult kickball league once per year, and we are adding a rec rally event, which more will come on that. We're in the early stages of planning for this. But that's it. That's the only athletic programs that the city currently offers, is one kickball league in the fall, and then this one-day rec rally that's coming up. The pool hour, and then moving into the aquatic side, one of the biggest things that we've heard this summer is that the pool hours are not long enough. Adding this position, a dedicated position to the pool for that summer, would allow us to increase those hours greatly, especially on the weekend, because this position would be able to cover a lot more on the week than what we are currently offered. Currently, I spend about 20 to 25 hours myself operating the pool, which is obviously a very significant amount of my time, especially when I'm then required to oversee the recreation center, help oversee some of the parks and maintenance there, as well as the pool and all the staff that associate with all of those things. And a lot of that has to do with in-service, managing the deposits, scheduling the lifeguards, and any issues that arise with the pool itself, and just making sure that it's running smoothly. We have about a little over 100 people per day coming to the pool, and with that comes all the chemicals readings and making sure that the chemicals are staying in order. And a lot of things we're just not able to do because we don't have the manpower to do it. And some of that is pool rentals, not currently offered this year because we don't have the staff or the manpower to be able to operate outside of our current operating hours. Swim lessons are currently not offered this year, but with this position, we would bring swim lessons back. This position also would be a CPO certified, which basically is just a pool operator, so that they would be able to be there year-round to make sure the pool stays in tip-top shape. That way, when we get ready to open in the summer, the pool is ready to go. We don't have algae all in the pool and all that kind of stuff, which was a concern this summer. And finally, this position would be LGI certified, which essentially is a lifeguard instructor. Currently, we have to pay an outside source to come in and certify all of our lifeguards. That's about $5,000 to $6,000 right there a year that we spend to have somebody come certify our lifeguards every year. As well as all of our recreation center staff is CPR certified. The LGI would be able to certify them as well. So that's another couple thousand that we're spending on that as well. And then at that point, anyone else in the city who wanted to be CPR certified, we could have the LGI lead that program and not lead that class. Any questions?
To what degree of self-sustain through revenue? What does that mean to you? Or us?
Yes. So cost recovery is a big thing for me, especially my last job. We were really harped on cost recovery, and it's one of the things that I look into everything I do. This athletics aquatics coordinator position would be self-sustaining in terms of additional revenue generated within 2 years.
If I can point one thing out, and I think it's going to bear witness to the next presentation too, I think, which is going to be police. So one of the key things that we have that's good in certain ways and then has some challenges in others is our proliferation of all of these MUDs that we're bringing online, right? And so there's a challenge now that we have these area swimming pools, these regional swimming pools within these MUDs, right? So we are really now marketing our own services to a lot of the people. Yes, some may have some regional pools, but a lot of the community doesn't have access to those pools, but some do. And so we'd like to be their choice pool for a lot of reasons. So we have that contention, right? And just like when we're going to talk about police department too, it's like we don't, by bringing online some of these services and excluding areas that we don't cover because of the exclusion of MUDs, we still stretch our boundaries in areas that we're trying to cover. So all these expanding things that get us, bigger and greater, and as we grow, we have some growth issues as well. So when we do come to that, I was glad that you mentioned that, Councilmember Krim, on as you put it, cost recovery, gently, that we think the same because we're getting bigger and we'll be expected to give more service, but we also have to remember the other side of the ledger means that we're going to have to start paying for those services as well in a greater amount.
Correct.
And while we can just say, well, less people will come because now they're swimming in their MUDs in their districts, that's not entirely true. And I think we're doing a pretty good job in attracting people to our pools. I think we can be doing a whole lot more, and we will be doing a whole lot more. But I just want to put that in context, because I think that's true all around as well, because our growth is, there's some things that we have to remind ourselves to be cognizant as we do this thing as well, is to say, this is cost of growth. And so there's going to be some components that we just can't get around and we're going to have to do.
And to add to that cost recovery aspect of it, my former position was the athletics coordinator in Georgetown, and my last year there, I generated enough revenue in 3 months to cover the cost of my position. So this position is something that not only will cover the cost of itself, but also can help sustain a lot of the other activities that we're doing for free that we're already covering from other areas.
Is there any way we could look at like dividing this? Like maybe just going after one piece of it, like either the aquatics or the athletics? Just a question. In like cost benefit analysis, and I understand both of them would get the cost recovery, but I feel like it might be something we can look at ramping up instead of like, so we can start it instead of going full. But that's just my thought.
Athletics, aquatics, combined is a pretty common thing for most small towns. Typically, once you get to be a little bit larger is when you split it apart. A lot of the concern with having it go split right out the gate is what does, and not that there isn't anything that they couldn't be doing, but what does aquatics do then at that point, in December, January, February?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking.
Pool?
Could it be a seasonal thing to start out with.
So it could be, yes, for the aquatic side of things.
Mhm.
That's correct. We did have a seasonal aquatics coordinator position that was cut this year. And
Oh,
obviously that was
let's
before
be
my
clear.
time, so I'm not sure what happened there.
That was before my time, and that was a previous interim city manager. Let's be clear about it. It wasn't cut by me. I made do with what I had, and we did pretty well. We hired the most part-timers in a while, and so about 30 people joining our team. But having said that, I think what you're getting at, which I think what we can see is that we have that seasonal type approach, but the athletic side of what I think you're talking about, which I've been involved with in some sports, right, quite recently too, as a parent and paying all those ridiculous fees to stay over and all that craziness. We might not have all the advantages of all the hotels that we need and all that stuff. We still have a place that we can send our people and attract folks, so we want to continue to do that. But I will say this, to answer hopefully a little bit, is that there's still, I wouldn't say, and maybe there is, you can correct me because you're the expert here, is that there is a 365-day cycle of sports, without a doubt.
Correct.
That I think we can pick and choose to see what we start to attract, because that's where it gets rather complicated. Like, that's when we say, okay, are we focusing on, like, is it going to be baseball, softball? Are we going to be going after soccer? What leagues can we start off with and inch our way towards, in addition to the foundational pool, swimming, aquatics? What can we start to attract, perhaps, and inch our way into that? Because that play in that sports league is a rather complicated system that involves parents leagues, and all that other stuff. So starting sport by sport, getting all the foundational approach to it, and then adding the sports, I think is what makes sense. Is that correct,
Absolutely,
Gregory?
and keep in mind with the athletic side there, we're not talking specifically just about leagues. There's also camps and classes and clinics and private lessons and all that kind of stuff that goes into the athletic side. Kind of the idea of this would they would be mostly athletics, and then during the summer they would help out with the pool, on top of me and one other staff member that are currently operating the pool. We would all share that responsibility in the pool. This person would lean a little bit heavier onto the pool, and then some of us can help offset some of the athletic stuff over the summer. That way the lifeguards kind of have just one voice rather than 3 different people coming in and kind of giving them a different direction. But really, it's a lot of things that go into the athletic side of things, and a lot of different programs that you can offer, all from beginning 3-year-olds all the way up to adults at any level at point after that.
And so I'll lean on your expertise because you say this is where you come from. So what I'm hearing is we have facilities and it's an untapped market that we're not capitalizing on.
Correct. Yeah, we have multiple baseball and softball fields that we're not really utilizing internally. We have obviously the rec center with the basketball court and volleyball court that we're not currently utilizing, other than just open play here and there. We have the Shenandoah soccer field that there's an organization that uses that area. Currently, there's not a contract in place with that, nor is there a contract in place with any of the organizations in town on how that operates. So this position would also come in and kind of look at holistically the whole city of Elgin, not just internally athletics, but also all the different organizations that operate within Elgin and use a lot of our facilities, and come up with contracts that make sure that they're using our facilities in the way that we would like them to be using them. And also to make sure that they're taking care of our facilities. And also keep in mind, Triada's coming online here in the next couple of years. That sport complex will be a pretty decent size, and will draw a lot more athletic-related activities as well.
Y'all too good. I'm trying to figure out how to cut something.
So
Y'all doing
let
too
me-
good.
let me time-
Correct.
I wasn't planning on cutting.
Yeah.
Y'all doing a really good job.
Thank you, Christina.
Let me,
She over there jumping in
Yeah.
on his.
Yeah.
That's gonna get cut.
smart move, Christina, smart move. Just let me relieve a little bit of pressure maybe, right? So I should have right said this, and I'm gonna right said it now. So, remember, on the onset, I'm to present a balanced budget to y'all, right? So, we're right now having a conversation, and what I'm hearing, what we're deliberating is we're all getting feedback as to how you're feeling about different things, right? So I'm not asking y'all to necessarily do my job, right? You're having tremendous impact on it, believe me. But I'm not doing, like, having y'all sit here as 9, trying to do these types of things. Crunch time, when it gets down to it, and we're debating between, hey, we need to move something here, we've come up with like 6 ways to do this, or 3 ways, and we're short some different ways. Because that sort of greater cut than 4.6, I'll tell you what your answer's probably gonna be, with all due respect. It's gonna be close to 4.6. It's gonna be close to 4, right? Because you do want to help, you want to be able to give what we need. You're going to need me to come back with some suggestions. Here it's, tell me the priority list and how you're feeling about these things. Not necessarily like, that was good, though, Christina, take his money to give you mine. But when something is out of the realm of possibility, just like, hey, you're just overly, just like, I know we can't do this year for sure, let's go ahead and shelve that, city manager, not Reagan, like city manager, let's hard focus on whatever it is. It could be quality of life, right? So that's what I'm gathering here. So I don't want you all to think you're having to do this work, to do the cutting, do the minute, take 1,000 here, take 1,000 there. This is an exercise to get out what your priorities are, so then I can go back and sit back with my team, and we can say, okay, let's rerun this. What did we talk about? What did they talk about? What do we feel that they were talking about? And what didn't they talk about? Why didn't they talk about it? So we start running this down and say, hey, we're getting closer to a number that's more agreeable. So next time we see it, it's gonna probably be closer to, I don't know, instead of 4.6, I don't have a number, but it ain't gonna be that. So when we come back, it's gonna be way trimmed down. It's like, okay, so now we're getting closer. Because if you see the news everywhere, budgets are coming from city managers and all other places to say they're starting off with a budget deficit of $1 million, $5 million. Well, that's what it generally looks like, because the request from the city manager is we need to expand what we're doing, get better. That's what you're expecting us to do. But we also have to provide you the tools to say, how do we get there, city manager? We pay you to give us those answers. But I'm gonna tell you the priorities that we'd like to put on you. Because there's $27 million. I know general fund is different, but let's just say, and this is how we prioritize it. Go out and execute. I could give you now, in some cities, do this. They come in, they don't have this conversation. They say, that's a balanced budget. Conversation's done. I did my charter work, and we're having little to no conversation. That's not how we do this, and I want that approach, because I can't walk away with this and you guys still are like, we didn't address some of the key things that I was sent here to address. My streets are still unsafe. We didn't fix the roads that I've been sent to do. That's the kind of key things that we need to hone on, because like in the public works, you should see his list. And I bet you, donuts of dollars, you're gonna wanna say, I wanna give everything to that guy. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we don't have the money, and I love it, because the calls would start going down on potholes, pipes busting, and everything else that you get calls on. Sorry. So please, just know, the idea is to have conversations, not to solve world hunger.
Got it.
And that's gonna be a major part of what I do with your input, and we're gonna be getting there. So don't feel pressure to be like, no rigging, nothing. Well, Christina, your presentation was wacky. Especially not today, that's not it. But give us feedback. Like, hey, but we wanna see a little bit more in this. Maybe focus a little bit more on that outdoor stuff and less about this, whatever it may be.
Sure.
Because that'll give me the direction I need too, even though we're gonna have some upcoming conversations about that. But this is where it's done.
Got it.
Because the budget is the document that tells us our game plan for the year in written form with the dollars we're using. Because that's how we communicate with dollars, right? And so we can go out and work hard, but I can see everybody's kind of like standing back, it's like, well, we're never gonna get anywhere because we're just gonna give everybody what they need. That might be coming up, we may end up at 4.6, and that's fine, guys. But we're getting the cues and we're taking it, so. I didn't mean to stop you on that, Regan. I know she already took your money, so you might as well sit down.
But we're gonna have some contracts for the people that are using the fields.
Correct. That would be the goal of this, one of the goals of this
Yeah.
position.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff is, can we see some of that come back? Are we gonna get that? Is that something that we can look forward to?
So that would be revenue coming in.
Correct. Yeah.
Because they haven't paid before.
This position, it would be primarily a revenue generating position.
And even if we're taught to say that if you don't fund the position, because you don't agree that it should be funded, that could be just looking at me and say, well, why can't we just do that right now and figure out some other way to do it in some other way? Right. And I'm not saying do that because I got stack stuff right now, but I like your approach with that position. That's a great question. How it's posed. That's the kind of conversation here, and that's what
Absolutely.
we're talking about using that.
So on your part-time front desk and stuff, who manages your volunteers? Or do y'all have volunteers?
So right now, our event coordinator kind of oversees the volunteers. I would say we don't have a huge base of volunteers, and a lot of that is just we don't have someone to manage and make sure that everyone's coming back and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of turns into just as we go, kind of reaching back out to people that have volunteered in the past, like, hey, can you come back and volunteer, redoing paperwork, all that kind of stuff that may or may not be involved with each event. So that would go with that position as well.
Yeah. Do you think it'd be a possibility to put that with an intern or with a volunteer?
It could be,
as
yeah.
the front desk and, okay. When we get our youth council up and going and
Absolutely.
have somebody come? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, that's his.
So, with the equipment, I used to do that at the state, all over the state, and that's a liability issue if you've got faulty equipment.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely see that being looked at. You may not get it all, but
Correct.
I see that needing to be looked at, because we don't need to get sued by somebody getting hurt and all of a sudden
Absolutely.
we should have been taken care of, so.
Thank you.
That's just my two bit.
Keywords was all, not all.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anywhere's a start as long as we can start replacing it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
be aware that if however much we get this year, we'll be right back next year trying to replace some more of it until it all gets replaced. And then in
Then
5 to
you'll
10
replace
years,
again,
we'll need to
'cause
be
it's an
replacing it again.
That's
And-
right, it's an ongoing cycle.
And we do some studies, not studies, we keep track of how many people are using what machines and stuff like that. So as part of this process, we would also be kind of changing out some of the lesser used equipment and bringing in some more preferable equipment to be used in that matter as well.
What did you say?
I do have a question, though. When it comes to repairs, does it come out of this amount, or is there a separate amount for that?
So it comes out of we have a general line item. I don't remember the name of the line item off the top of my head. It's that's the wrong paper. Minor office supplies and equipment line item is what it comes out, is the repairs come out of currently.
Okay.
Awesome. No other questions? Thank you, Council and Mayor.
Do we need a break before we go to the police?
Oh, you couldn't have?
Yeah.
You got 2 departments left. You got police department and public works.
Okay, we're gonna take another 10-minute break at 8:37 and come back at 8:47. And you can grab dessert while you're up and moving around.
everybody go.
Okay, we are back on target.
Where's
Council
Tiffany?
member,
There she is.
And number 8.
Is everybody going in there?
Hers coming.
I know it's getting late, but we want to hurry.
You have a quorum, Mayor. You can rock and roll.
Okay, we got a
All
quorum.
right, so we're on it.
She's coming.
Oh, you know what? Oh, he's so happy, let it go.
All right.
And
He's
Arthur
going- he's
is
gonna
outside.
attack.
I need to go out.
You have a long list. There's several pages. Like, it goes on. The more I flip, the more pages I see with your name on it, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I love you, Howard.
Look,
Okay,
page
so-
1 of 5.
Oh, my God.
All I can say is brace yourself.
No, I mean, apparently.
Hold my,
We're on.
Seriously.
Hold on.
With TMI.
Okay, our recording is on, in case y'all forgot.
all righty? I hope you took a Valium, because your sticker shock is coming.
Sir.
All righty. Go for it, Chief.
All righty. Need to adjust the screen. Okay. The first pages are going to be on new equipment. And first one is the drone. And Todd, you can come on up. And I'll be relying on Todd. He's the commander over criminal investigations, and that's what the majority, if not all of this equipment pertains to, is evidence collection, crime scene investigation. And anyway, so that being said, the drone is, we have no drone that can fly in anything other than perfect weather. And so we are looking to up our game, if you will, and have a truly 100% mission capable drone at all times. We have a training drone is what we're using now. We got that free with the training that we went to. And if there's anything you want to add a little bit more about the drone program?
So, yeah, perfect weather, it never happens. It never happens when we want it to. So this drone, we make them larger size and make a smaller size. For internal, this keeps us from having to send officers places we don't want to send an officer first. We want to send a drone first instead of an officer. We have just, a month or so ago, well, where we had a trespass, we had a burglary, neighbors were telling us we're still inside. We were there pretty quick. We set every perimeter up, got a drone up, had it up, then we had to bring it down because it was cloudy or it was windy. It was pretty, but it was windy. So again, the drone was really good when we got it. It was part of the training. It comes with the kit. But you know, stuff you get for free is you give it training for. So
It's free.
It guide us through what we need to get through. But the capabilities of when if it falls down, it turns itself back up, so you can you don't have to walk out into say an open field to fix your drone right where the suspect is. Certain capabilities like that is what comes with a different drone than what we have. This is just the very beginning of your program. This isn't the big cities that are using drones to go do certain things, drop off things. This is to protect the officer from having to go into the door first. We can try to clear things by looking in the window or upstairs window without seeing an officer.
Yeah, even to continue on with that anecdote, when we did send the drone into the house, it died halfway through. And we finally had to go in and get it, and it was, oh, yeah, by the way, pick up the drone on your way out.
Tell the person come outside.
And that's why you typically don't have just one drone, because there's only, the battery power only lasts so long. When you're up there, you can't tell the suspect, if they're watching you through the upstairs window, time out. We're gonna go change our battery. And now we'll be back. So that's why you have.
Can you hold on? Can you keep that criminal activity on pause for a few seconds? Hold on.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there programs for smaller towns from federal entities that can help us with things like that?
As far as the training, yes, and but as far as getting the drone, the equipment itself, that's up to us. And
Okay.
and rest assured, I do search high and low for alternative sources of funding, particularly for big-ticket items, ongoing expenses, and even personnel. And we are currently awaiting the results of a grant request for personnel and software and other equipment right now.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And that is how we got our current one,
By finding-
finding the grant and doing
Okay.
all that part for free,
Yeah.
and then at some point you kind of outgrow the grant stuff, the free stuff.
Okay, thank
Right.
you.
Mhm. Then the next three things, the safekeeping drying cabinet, the cyanoacrylate fuming chamber, and the air science fuming hood. I'll tell you a little bit about those momentarily, but I'm going to say right off the bat, that's non-negotiable. Those are health and safety and life safety issues. Those are to be used in our evidence room. The drying cabinet is used to be able to to dry wet evidence in an environment that it will no longer be further contaminated. You can't hang, say, a bloody
T-shirt
towel.
out on a line.
Yeah, exactly, because there's other things in the air. So it provides a contained, it's a containment chamber. The fuming chamber is used to develop latent fingerprints off of pieces of evidence. And if you just look at the term cyanoacrylate, that's commonly known as superglue. And but what that is cyanide. And so you have to have a contained chamber. We're currently using a 10-gallon or whatever gallon fish tank. And frankly, we were doing that 44 years ago when I was a crime scene investigator for the Austin Police Department. And that's how we did it then. But to be fair, that was one of the things we had to cut. The fuming hoods and vent hoods from the construction plan of the new police station. We had to build to the dollar on that project. And knowing that one day we would have to come with our hat in our hand asking for these things, and today's that day. So, and the fuming hood is, the bullets explain what it is. It's for safely handling drugs. Particularly, your fentanyl and things of that nature. This way, the evidence technician doesn't have to have their snout out with the evidence.
We do want to keep y'all safe.
Well, thank you, absolutely.
How long would these things typically last?
Years.
So long investment?
Yes. And
Okay.
Again, you got to take care of it as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
understood.
And we did, like you said, they got cut, but we were also wanting to get into the evidence room, see what space we had, be in there a year, work with it. But we didn't want to go buy a $20,000 one when all we needed was a $5,000 one. And we wanted to see what space we had to put in there. So now we have a good understanding of, one, the use that we're going to get out of these and where they're going to fit as far as in the evidence room itself.
How often would you say that you use some of these things, or?
Some of these daily.
Daily.
The fingerprinting or the drying, that could be from a homicide scene all the way down to just a theft, where the suspect cut themselves, but now there's blood. We can't store that while it's still wet.
Yeah, I
So
know.
until it dries, you're prolonging getting it sent off to the lab. The fingerprinting, that's daily. And the fuming hood, not just the drugs, also when we're printing something, if you ever, hopefully the car didn't get broken into, but if you have been fingerprinted, you see black powder everywhere.
Everywhere.
Well, they're trying to do that in their evidence room and fingerprint a specific item. If they get powder everywhere too much, it prevents the rest of the items being tested for DNA. That fuming hood sucks up the powder, just like it sucks up drugs and everything else that would be in that chamber.
And with these items, are they just like a one and done buy, or do you have somebody that comes by and actually inspects them and does repairs at the same time?
They're going to be a one and done. Essentially, it's not a annual repair. It's when they're starting to show signs of wear.
Mhm.
You call the service out there to make sure.
Yeah.
Like ventilation, it's filters. So it's only ongoing costs with filters. It's very minimal.
And that'll come out y'all's budget. Yeah.
Without doubt.
That you-
You haven't approved yet, that's what you're saying.
Okay, the Faro crime scene scanner, that is a state-of-the-art device that is more or less what I like to call a force multiplier. It's to assist the detectives in major crime scenes where they can go in and actually take pictures, if you will, of the room, and it creates a design of the room itself, or reconstructs it for evidentiary purposes, and you can mark evidence. And I'll just read it. Provides to the millimeter accurate measurements and full scene 3D mapping, preserves the evidence and spatial relationships far beyond traditional photography and sketching methods. And something like that would have been particularly helpful in the homicide we had recently. And it was a two-story crime scene, and inside, outside, upstairs, downstairs. And we were there 12, 13, 14 hours.
I was gonna say, how quickly are these generated?
Yeah, and that's to replace somebody with cameras and a measuring tape as well.
For accuracy, but also even the generation of the video and the mapping is minutes to the hours as compared to somebody being there for that long, as you're getting the accuracy and
Correct.
speed.
Or in the middle of two night, because on accidents.
True.
Before this, it's officers, you've seen spray paint on the roads, and we're having to close down the roadway, put officers on the roadway to do hours of marking, measuring, math, where this would have,
That
we
doesn't-
still have to close it down, obviously, to get the right marking, but this cuts the time tremendously, and we don't depend on other agencies like DPS to come in and work our accident investigations. We're self-sufficient as a department.
How big is this piece of equipment?
Small. It's a tripod, but it fits in your hand. But the amount of work it does.
Okay,
You've seen it on TV.
Yes.
I guarantee you on court
yes,
shows and you've
uh-huh,
seen it.
NCIS.
Right. They lay it up on the screen.
48 hours.
It shows the dummy suspect in the middle of a 3D room, and that's what the animated version is like.
And then, is that the one we can slay it to the drone as well to do overhead, or is that
Yes,
the?
we could connect that to the drone for
Well, look at
like
that.
crash reconstructions, where it can read each other, it can go up, get an aerial view, where the
And it
equipment
can
itself
reconstruct it.
will read the plots and reconstruct it that way.
All right, the Clear investigation software, that is, we currently use Clear already. This is a secondary module to it, and it's to enhance what we already have. And you're the expert on it, so I'll let you talk about it.
So Clear Investigations, it connects all the different data points from, well, we're back to homicide. If you're looking at, you have a suspect, in any homicide, you have a suspect, I mean a victim, now you're trying to find out who's connected to this victim. You can spend weeks and weeks calling family members, friends, or you can use this is one version of it, and it connects family members, friends, different addresses, or you can have multiple suspects. It does what a detective used to have to do in 4 or 5 weeks, they can do it in 30 minutes. So sometimes it's worth, you have to do the phone call, you have to do the face-to-face. This gives them a direction to go in. So people aren't waiting, so the victims aren't waiting for some kind of closure on their case. But again, it's not a guaranteed thing. Clear is a great, we've already tested Clear, and that's why we didn't get this first molecule. We wanted to test Clear first the last couple of years. This is the investigation side of it. So it doesn't just find the data, it puts it all together for you. It kind of creates the map that the courts want to see as far as chains go, phone trees go. They want to see, so you don't just arrest one person, you want to arrest everybody that has to do with that crime. And it just cuts the detective's time more than half.
You want to do the digital note taker tablet as well?
The digital note taker, it's nothing high tech. I'm sure you've seen them about the size of your laptop, but you can handwrite your note on the front of them, and it saves those notes digitally to an email or to a file. The reason those are needed now is because with discovery going to court, everything, even detectives' notes now are required by law to be part of that case. So if they're interviewing somebody and they're just writing their own personal notes, but it's about the case, they need to see those notes in that case file. And if the defense attorney gets something and see me interviewing somebody on camera and they see me making notes, they don't see my notes for could ruin the whole case. Something similar, and those notes might be me doodling the guy's picture, because I'm bored, drawing on it. And it has nothing to do with the case, but because that paper's not in there, that case will be thrown out because we didn't give the defense attorney everything that we had. That's something that's mandated, that's, yes, we can take it by paper. This, there's no mistaking it, there's no losing it. It automatically uploads that file, and now there's a track of it.
Don't be doodling.
And there's one.
I'm sorry? Yes.
There's one.
How many are in
The,
there?
I was gonna say,
patch, no, that's for each detective.
yeah, I was gonna say, this gotta be numbered.
Each
one.
detective
But
would
I'm
have
looking at
one.
getting one, it
Yes.
don't cost that much.
Anybody that has to do with.
At $49.60.
How many
We
detectives are
didn't-
there?
Those
He
are
said
the less expensive ones, but they do what we need to do.
How
We have
many?
all the bells and whistles, but again,
Right.
we're mainly gearing what our needs for the mandated part of the note taking.
Okay.
Not all the other.
And remind me how many detectives we'd be purchasing these for?
I believe it's 11 total, detectives and evidence, because anybody that would be interviewing somebody or taking notes either on camera or as part of the case has to have their notes attached to
So
it.
that would be close to 49,600?
4,900.
Over 50 grand.
4,900, well,
4,900
4,960
per.
per.
And then he needs 11 of them.
Clarify.
No, 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 that's all of them.
Clarify.
It's all of them
They're
together.
about
Okay.
300, yeah, they're 300 some a piece.
That's what I was getting
So
at.
if I try to with the all included,
No,
yes,
no,
they're all
no.
included in
Yeah,
that
no,
number.
I
It's
thought
not
that
per.
was like per, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was
No, there might
per.
be a lot of bells and whistles in each one copy.
I know.
I was like,
You may
Yeah,
lie.
you can go buy one of these right now for council if you
I
want.
was gonna say, that's what I had.
I was gonna be like, what's the minimum you need?
Yeah, no, that's how we were able to get all of them in that number. by not
Okay.
being
Okay.
one with all of them.
Okay.
Thank you for that
That's a big dif-
clarification.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Okay. The continued rehab of the Poth building, which is the small building that sits adjacent to the police department. And we have been using it just for general storage for the last several years. And, I mean, tires and other stuff and things. And so we are, as part of our accreditation, we have to have large item storage, particularly for like a vehicle, and or bulk storage as well. And it has to be secured. And to do that, you know, the windows have to be have metal, so it can't be broken into. And it does not have an AC system in it now, or some sort of climate control to be added to it. And but we don't need the entire building for that. And so one of the things that we had to cut from the new police station was a gym for the officers, you know, for us to really push physical fitness and wellness for officers, because 2 years ago I paid for what's called tactical physicals for each of the officers, and because we are like 40-some-odd% more likely to die of a heart attack by the age of 50, and so we want to encourage physical fitness. We have tried partnering with local gyms to do that, and that has been problematic in and of itself. And one of the other reasons we would like to have a gym is where we can do our own physical fitness assessments for new hires, and have the equipment in there to do it. And so this will purchase for the physical fitness equipment, which is, you know, rowing machines and free weights as well. And I am looking for other alternatives to purchase that equipment as it is right now, such as seized funds and that nature.
I was gonna say, I heard the rec center has a gym.
But
Is,
that's-
is there any way that we can potentially start partnering
We
with them?
which we have, and in the middle of the night is when we have access to the gym, because otherwise, if we go during the day, we are taking it away from paying customers.
Okay.
But as far as the purchase of the equipment, y'all could go in and do it bulk. And if Blue Cross and Blue Shield step up, you might have a way to get that.
Mhm.
We're gonna work on
Yeah,
that.
and overall,
There are options, yes, for the equipment part.
yeah.
As far as law enforcement, we've already seen a lot of those.
Yeah.
For the fitness part, it's tough, and that's coming from a And we can't just say we have a fitness standard. If we have one, we have to give them a place to maintain that. And the new hires, we've dodged some bullets in the past. You can't hire somebody just because if we don't have a fitness standard, we can't hire somebody if you know they're not fit. Now, in the past, we've dodged a bullet because other things have disqualified these applicants. But now the fitness standard, we can't say, no, you're not fit to do this job. And we all know there needs to be a certain fitness level to do this
Yeah.
job.
And it keeps officers from getting, injured or more significantly injured, which then drives up the insurance costs, workers' compensation, et cetera. And it's just the right thing to do as well.
So what we're looking for now is basically equipment for that section that you're not going to use for bulk storage?
Correct.
Okay.
And then with regard to securing the interior of the building to keep anybody from getting into it for for all of it, but particularly for the evidence storage. Any further questions on that? Okay. All right, then the storm damaged fencing, this is really more of a public works thing, but rather than replace the chain link fencing that was between the Poth building and would be the southwest corner of the police station, is about 50 feet of fence. Is that how long it was?
So about 14 feet.
That's and again, as one of the things that we had to cut from the original construction of the police department was having a masonry fence around the building, and it had to do the chain link fence, which you can still see into the back of the police department where officers park their cars, and we're moving evidence around at times into the Poth building. So I thought this would be the perfect time to go ahead and start it as a process and do a section at a time to create or to build that masonry fence.
And you say masonry?
Block, yes, ma'am.
Okay, cinder block.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There were two different bids on it, one, and this was the lower of the two. The other bid was to put a whole new footer in, and it was going to be a nice wall and last forever. This will still do the same thing. And
Using brick that we've had left over from the project, much of the brick left over, and using existing footing down front.
yeah, and that was the thing, is that we bring the materials
Okay.
into this, that the contractor does not have to sell us the brick.
Are you saying we have our own brick?
And a brick factory. Okay.
Oh, my.
Vehicles. All right.
Page 96.
All right.
Snack break.
As we have not purchased any new vehicles since 2023. And at that time, we were bringing 4 new vehicles on every year for patrol cars. And each patrol car upfitted with everything that goes into it is right at $100,000, about 108 depending. So over the last now pushing 4 years, the last of the cars that we have, the newer cars, they're all no longer under warranty. And the aging fleet, what we normally do is we take as the patrol cars age out, we will decommission them and turn them into administrative vehicles and for the detectives. And we have been unable to do that because if, let me back up a little bit, if you've been by the public works yard, you've probably seen we've got about 11, 12 cars over there of aged out old cars. I'm hanging on to those, hopefully, because I can sell those and offset the cost of this. And they are unsafe to be driven. It's not that the mileage is high, because our officers really don't put a whole lot of miles on them. These cars idle the entire time that they're being used during the day. And that's to keep all the electronics in the car running. because it can't shut off, and then it'll reset the computer and have to be rebooted, and they'll lose anything they've got that they're working on. So, that being said, it is my goal to replace everything out of a 2019 year model and older, all the way down to the 2014s, and that includes the surplus vehicles we got sitting out in the public works yard. So, to do that, and then there's a couple of new purchases in there as well, but we can't, obviously we can't buy that many cars. It's just, can't do it. So there is an option, that is to lease the vehicles. And leasing is kind of a misnomer on it, because it's actually, we're just going to be financing them. We're actually purchasing them. However, for whatever regulation, you have to call it a lease, because the final payment is a balloon payment of $1. And then we own the vehicles after that. We don't have to turn them in. We don't have to, like a traditional lease would be.
Say that again for me, please.
We'd be financing the vehicles. And,
Right.
and what I am asking for is the number of vehicles that I'm asking for will cost about $1.5 million to replace those, or to buy the new vehicles and replace those other ones. And then to have the permission to engage in a contract for a lease, and with a annual payment of about $300,000 or less. That, if we go back to the historical of us buying 4 cars a year, we were spending well over $400,000 a year just to purchase 4 cars. This way, for the next 5 years, this would be a 5-year lease. We could do a 4-year lease or a 3-year lease, but the cost goes up, of course. And to do that, then we could have the payment of right around $300,000 or less each year for the next 5 years, and then we own the cars after that time.
For the balloon note of $1.
Correct. Yeah, and because it has that, for whatever the rules and regulations of the banking industry to government, and it's lost on me, they have to call it a lease. And so, okay. But then when we met with the representative from American National Leasing, who they do all governments, the comment was made, well, why can't I just go to a bank and get a loan and finance it that way? And he said, you can. He said, but what we offer is we will take all those surplus cars of yours, and then we can sell them to another police department that will buy them. And this way we don't, as is, and we don't have to decommission the car even any further, meaning remove the lights, remove the sirens, everything off of them. That costs anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 per car. Some of those cars, frankly, aren't worth that amount, but we still have to spend the money to do that.
Right.
And so then whatever they sell those cars for will come back to us. And then we can then start truly getting into a rotation program for our cars.
Would
And
that rotation be like every 2 or every 3 years on the vehicles?
We've never been in one. We've never been able to get to that point. And
Uh-huh.
so I can't answer your question to that extent.
Right.
But I would say certainly let's look at 5 years, because when that
Yeah.
lease is up, let's start
5
thinking
years would
about
be-
doing another one. And like I said, then we actually own the cars at that point. So then also asking for 8 patrol cars, and that is because I am also asking for 4 new officer positions in the form of police cadets. And those would be the ones that we would send to the academy and grow them from the ground up, if you will. So, and I know Pam builds that into the cost of a new employee, but I wanted you to see it here on so that you'll have the full picture of what it is that we're asking for. And that's to replace patrol cars that are 2019 and older, and also for potential new hires and over time. The one animal control truck that needs to be replaced, the vehicle that Christina was talking about, the wheel fell off, that was our vehicle. And that was a surplus vehicle from out on the lot. And but it was the best one we had. And so we let her
And no
use
one
it.
got hurt.
Well, she has to use a car. But, so when we ended up putting money into it to get it serviceable for the second animal control officer position that we got several years ago, because they need a vehicle. And that's what they use, is a 2009 Chevy Tahoe that used to be a patrol car. And it is still unsafe, but it's the best one we got. And it is frankly not a humane way to transport animals and to care for animals before we take them down to the pound, down in Bastrop. So then part of that expense also will include the upfitting of the animal control truck to have the kennels and all that on it. And that is expensive as well. But that's all built into that amount of money. The forensics van, that is a new purchase as well. That we have so much equipment that we take to crime scenes now, and it has to be all in one vehicle. Anecdote to a case about where we needed the drone. It was, oh crap, the drone's back at the station. Somebody's got to go back and get the drone. And we've got so much stuff to carry, and it's all been trying to stuff it all into a Tahoe. So it's time to get a van. And then the CID administrative vehicles. That is, like I said, we would normally recycle patrol cars and strip them out and turn them into CID cars. The ones that we would consider doing that for are already too far gone to do that. It's just, let's just cut the head off this beast and get the cars that we need, finance them, and we can finance them at a rate that is less than what we were paying before. It is a big pill to swallow, I get that. And I will say, particularly on our patrol cars, the one thing that we are judged on is how fast we can put a patrol car in front of somebody's house the one and only time that they will ever call the police in their life. An email you sent me the other day?
See, you was gonna put me out like that. But anyway, we had one this morning too.
I heard.
Just told her.
Yeah.
I just told her.
But anyway.
Anyway, so. What's that? Oh, yeah, yeah. That's
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't even be due until fiscal 27, 28.
Is that because it takes a while to get all these vehicles in because they have
No.
to outfit them in?
No, that's the leasing companies. That is.
So this 300,000 would not be due technically this year. This would be
But
due
Not even-
27, 28.
Yeah, not even in this budget. It's in. Yes.
Yeah.
And you will see that in the radio lease as well.
Okay.
Just to give you a few ideas of what, like you were saying, we've been holding everything together, what our Band-Aids are. For those of you that have been here years, you know, we make do with what we got. Some of our Band-Aids, when the officers are going to call, they're having to think of 100 things of the call itself. What they shouldn't have to worry about is will my car start, or will my AC come on, or will this loud thumping underneath the engine go away by the time I get to the car. Some of these Band-Aids have been as simple as using black duct tape to cover up the seat to keep the spring from coming out because the cushion is already ready. Because we do have a lot of stuff on it. So when you sit down, over years it starts wearing. So stuff like that, we owe it to them not to have to worry about that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff they got to worry about when they're driving to these calls.
Yeah. As of the numbers that were pulled day before yesterday for just for this budget year, we've already spent $147,000 in vehicle maintenance. That is money to a garage or a shop. And that is, again, these aged cars are eating us alive. And as of today, I signed check requests for enough that we are now over $150,000 in vehicle repairs. And we're only halfway through the year. So again, that 300,000 that we're going to, if we project it out, that's 300,000. That's the payment on cars.
So the replacement vehicles, are they newer than what we have now? Are they in better mint condition?
They'll all be brand new cars.
Like 20, 25?
No, there'll be 2026s, and with any
Okay.
luck, maybe a 27. Yeah.
27,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And we must got some good gap insurance for these vehicles. We talking about a 5-year lease.
Well, and that's the thing. That is something, that needs to be discussed. Do we want to do a 3-year lease? And then this way, the vehicle will be under the majority of the time, how long.
under warranty.
Warranty the entire time.
What's the change in the annual payment if it's a 3-year lease?
It will be depending on whatever the interest rate is at that time. The last calculation that I did was at 5.5% interest rate, but that was back in March. And those vehicles that we were pricing were 2025s and 2026s, and they, of course, are no longer available.
Sure.
And they were, it goes, I'd say about 30% per year would be a good guess. And I'm sorry, I did not bring that information with me since it was so old.
Can we get an updated?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we can see what
This
the
is just to
difference
get this on your,
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
your
Get it
radar.
on
But I would like
Radar.
to see what we can
Yeah.
save if we do a 3-year.
Yeah.
So obviously it's less interest.
Yeah.
If we have a year before we
Mhm.
have to pay that first payment, it's a
Yeah.
little bit mindful,
Yeah,
more mindful spending maybe.
Yeah, our rep from American National, he promised he would have me those numbers by tonight, or by today, and of course I don't have them, and I could answer that question. Then we've also dealt with or queried Mac Hike Ford as well. And Ford Motor Credit also, Ford Motor Credit?
Through Mac Hike, their leasing program.
Okay, they also have a leasing program for government vehicles as well. Samus down in Bastrop has a government leasing program as well. But I know American National uses Same's dealership in Bastrop, Laredo, and other places as well.
So you could shop locally.
So
Yeah.
it'd be local.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of the hard parts about getting a price on a specific vehicle, because
It
one,
changes.
change so often, but
Yeah.
two,
Yeah, yeah.
we don't go in there and just pay sticker price. Like, we have it just like anybody else would, but they're not gonna give us their best price until we're ready to buy it. So we can't go in there and say, yeah, 8 months from now, it's gonna be your best price.
Yeah.
We have to get an estimate price, but then when we go there, now it's time to, okay, what kind of discounts can he have?
Yeah.
This dealership said this price, what are you gonna
Yeah.
match? So that's up to
Typically,
us.
Or can
fleets,
you
you get
beat
better
it?
prices.
Right.
Yeah.
That's up to us
Yeah.
to work after,
Yeah.
when we're ready to go after.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking for, is a number of not to exceed a certain amount, because this way I can get a price or an annual payment that is not to exceed a certain amount. So that can be built into your planning.
Okay.
All right, personnel. I am asking for an administrative position that is.
the radio
Did
Oh,
we skip
oh.
the radio?
You skip like
Yeah.
a whole bunch
Oh.
of stuff, chief.
Man.
I mean, I know we wanna go home and everything, but there's a lot of money over here. Let's talk
Yes.
about that.
Just assume you said yes. You just went on.
Yeah.
All right, the radio lease is $400,000, and that through Motorola, and that will have a $69,800 or $70,000 7 annual payments, and it's a 7-year lease. And that is actually the radio service life is much longer than that. And why we have to get new radios, and these are for 38 vehicle radios, and that's to replace every single vehicle radio that we have, and to add new radios for if we get new cars, new patrol cars, and then 13 handheld radios. We have already replaced the bulk of our handheld radios in a lease that we did last budget year. And the reason we have to replace them is the regional communication systems of these one for Bastrop County, they are switching to an encrypted radio program, and our radios are not compliant.
Equipped for that.
Yeah, it's called ACH encryption technology. The Travis County has already switched over to that. They've already thrown the switch on it, and we cannot communicate with Travis County. They can hear us,
You can't hear
We
them.
can't hear them. And Williamson County has also already switched over. And we communicate, or we interact with every agency that borders us that is in both Travis and Williamson County as well. So Bastrop County is anticipating that they will switch over mid-year 2027. And this has been known since about 2023, and that is why we have taken on to start replacing these radios ahead of time. And so we don't have to take such a big bite. This is another big one. We don't get the radios, we can't communicate. It's that simple. And again, we can't afford to buy them, so I'll lease them. And so at $69,000 or $70,000 annual payment, right now, that's the best I can do. And I have gone through LCRA, them to try to purchase radios, bulk radios from them. They cannot even compare in the price with Motorola. So this is one of those things that we absolutely must
Got to
have.
communicate.
Yes, and we have planned ahead to the best of our ability with it, and the time has come. Yeah, in the, yeah,
For a
the
year,
first one,
yeah.
And not to make it sound any better, but Manor, they were well over $1 million on their radios, and so.
That sounds better.
If it does sound better, doesn't make it taste better.
No.
I know the question's coming for like face on a 7-year lease, but these radios, our last model lasted 20 years. So
Yeah.
that's why.
You over here reading my notes?
Remember you said your face?
A 7-year lease
Yeah.
is nothing compared to what the average
Yeah.
model will last till the
And the one kind of silver lining of the cloud is that we can sell these radios, the car radios and our handheld radios. So, and that takes some of the sting out of it as well.
Yeah.
We can that money be returned to the general fund.
So Chief, encryption thing is not a universal thing. It's regional, more or less.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is why we're able to sell the radios, let somebody else have them that does not
Yeah, I was
need
going
them.
to say, who would buy them if they couldn't? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The CAD, or Computer Assisted Dispatch System, and RMS, Records Management System, that is when a call comes into 911, the dispatcher enters the information into the CAD system, which then will dispatch or assign the call to the police department, fire department, EMS. And so as part of being within the regional communication system of Bastrop County, that they transitioned to a new CAD and records management system. And they did that with their ARPA funds, our American Recovery Act fund. They got millions to do it. They have absorbed the cost of this. And with regard to it, what we're paying for is licensing fees, that there is a per user cost for CAD access and RMS access. I am hoping I can get that cost down, but I bring it to you at this cost in case I can't get it down, but that is what it will cost at the most. And that is one of those things, we gotta have it.
What's a user? Is that your cars?
Per person, per license, yeah.
Per license, per person?
Yeah. And I do 50 licenses, and this way, because that even includes our administrative personnel that have to have access to it for case preparations and to pull records and whatnot. It's even for me to have access to it. Okay, personnel. As part of our accreditation, and our accreditation manager that we've been using for the last 4 years is just a consultant. And as we near the end of the year, when we get our inspections and audits, and as we go to finally get our accreditation, he will no longer be with us after that. And so, yes, sir.
That's a positive thing. You're not saying that in a weird, bad way. So.
He's going away.
He did say it kind of slow.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's being poached by the Austin Police Department.
Oh, say it slowly. Go ahead.
Say it slow.
Yeah, they've approached him about, because they're going back into a CLIA accreditation as well. We were, when I was with them, we were CLIA accredited back in the 90s, and then they let it lapse. And then as a result of what CLIA accreditation, well, I'll get into that in a little bit, but that is a full-time job to manage the weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual inspections and audits that we have to do. And as part of the process to ensure professional policing. This is, like I said, a full-time job. And it's either get an administrative person to do it, or I have to pull somebody off patrol to do it. And it'd be a very expensive, if I do that, it's a very expensive administrative assistant to do that. And but there can be also other duties assigned to this particular function, which is help manage our fleet and our IT as well. And not do IT, but help, as it was mentioned before by Pam, that the IT person can spend 40 hours with us, because every car is basically a mothership in and of itself, with communications technologies, night vision, just making sure the lights work on it, the computers and things of that nature. So then the fleet maintenance with regard to managing, the repairs and contracts with shops and things of that nature. And that all goes hand in hand with with the duties would be with a compliance coordinator. And
what's the benefits of the accreditation?
Well, let me check my notes here. And what that is, CLIA is the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, and Texas also has one through the Texas Police Chiefs Association as well. We have chosen CLIA because it is a national and international accreditation. And the standards that we abide by are the commissioners that help set these standards and professional standards are federal judges, senators, deans of colleges, and to determine what the best practices in the policing industry is. So, and to that end, what ultimately the goal of it is, big thing is it reduces your civil liability, because the first thing that is attacked, particularly when you have a critical shooting or a critical incident, which is a shooting, is your training, and then your evidence, storage and how that's handled gets attacked as well. And through having the constant and repetitive audits and inspections of our processes by outside auditors, that continues to ensure that we have reached that we are truly a professional organization. And just as a note, that in the United States there are close to 18,000 law enforcement agencies. Only 1,307 of them are CLIA accredited, soon to be 1,308. And when we get that designation, we will be in the top 1% of law enforcement agencies in the United States. And it's 0.072. And it's, better
Say
than
that
one.
number again, point what?
0.072. That's in the top 1%. Now, if you want to look at it for how many agencies are CLIA accredited in Texas, there's 2,700 law enforcement agencies in Texas. There are only 45 that are CLIA accredited, soon to be 46. We will be in the top 0.16 of law enforcement agencies in the state. That is a big deal. And
That's a feather in your cap.
yes, it is. we've been working on this since 2022. And we really, and what the big hurdle, frankly, was the police station. Since it would not pass inspection, it was built to CALIA standards, and particularly the evidence room, because that is the Achilles heel of every law enforcement agency. And so that is why you see so much in evidence collection, preservation, and particularly with the Poth building as well. And, you know, just on the credentialing of it, you know, it is recognized by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Leaders, Law Enforcement Executives, the National Sheriff's Association, and the Professional Executive Research Forum, or Police Executive Research Forum out of Boston as well. And like I said, it'll be a proud day. A lot of people have worked very hard on this over the years. Okay. Then the detective position. Our current caseload right now on detectives is they're averaging 35 cases per month, and you're getting farther and farther behind, and on their caseload. It's just because of the growth. As the city manager mentioned previously about the mud districts, okay, the people that live there, and all good people.
Until they're not.
Yeah, we know we may not go to their house, but we got to deal with them when they come out of their neighborhoods. And but that being said, you know, that goes back to the number of police officers that we need, and then the ensuing number of reports and cases that need to be investigated as well. I have one of my detectives that is assigned to be a crime analyst. I have applied for grant funding for a crime analyst, and will soon be applying for grant funding for a victim services coordinator as well. However, if I get the crime analyst, then I can return that detective back to the mix of working cases. Okay, but it's still not enough, and that is we've got to have the detectives to work these cases, particularly the violent crimes, which are, as we grow, we're getting more and more. Right.
And did you say you were looking for a grant for victim services?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, through CAPCOG. And but it's not the violent crimes that we spend the bulk of our time on. It's the petty crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep coming and coming. And it's like they said on what was on the Seinfeld show about the mail, it just keeps coming. And so, anecdote on that. One of my CID sergeants and a patrol sergeant were in a very, what's the right word, concentrated conversation with each other the other night. They were having a meeting between CID and patrol, and the CID sergeant was begging the patrol guys, please collect more information when you're doing your initial report out at the scene. And, you know, ask more questions, get more information, because when we get these reports, there's not enough information, and we are spending an inordinate amount of time as a detective collecting basic information. And the reply was, we don't have time. Calls are waiting. Y'all are the detectives, go detect. You see the vicious circle there? Mm-hmm. And so and then that will lead into the cadets. And we have not, yeah, absolutely.
What we're trying to avoid is, you've all probably heard or seen or tried an Austin file report for something very small, and you get the answer of do it online. And then a month later you get an email saying, yeah, it's been reviewed, and it is not, pretty much we're not going to do anything about it, because it doesn't meet that threshold. A lot of big cities or bigger cities are doing that. The citizen just files their own report online, because they don't have the officer to take it or the detective to investigate it. We don't want to get to that point. Our detectives need to talk to the suspects, the witnesses. We don't want to shove somebody to go file it online. We shouldn't be at that point. And that's what we're trying to keep, that personal connection to these cases, and not just tell somebody, hey, go file it yourself. We're trying to avoid that.
Okay. In cadets, as noted earlier, we have not added any new personnel since 2023. And when before we were adding 4 per year until we reached a certain level. Well, those were taken out of the budget last year. And when were they taken out? Was it last year? Okay. And I'm asking for those to be put back in. And the one thing about the cadets is we prefer to hire them when they're either send them to the academy or hire them while they are in the academy. This way we can get them as brand new officers, no baggage, no bad habits. We train them the way Elgin wants their officers trained. And there's nothing wrong with lateral transfers. You know, always try to keep at least 1, maybe 2 vacancies in case that rock star comes along that we can grab one on a lateral. But that being said, we have had the best luck with recruiting our own people and then sending them to the academy and then bringing them through our own training program. So that process takes over a year. So when you see the 4 cadets positions, that doesn't mean we're going to go hire 4 people immediately. That's going to take time. We'll be lucky, the next cadet class starts in October. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to groom that many or that many people to get them selected in the academy. It would certainly be the one after that. So we're looking at even, after the beginning of the new year or even mid-year. I didn't see where the second, if they had another class scheduled after the yeah, they run them 7 months apart.
How about retention? What is the retention rate here?
Excellent. And that goes to the last batch that we hired. We hired 8. We were given permission to overhire in 2023. And we got 8. Ultimately, it was actually 10 officers all at one time, 2 laterals and 8 out of the academy. And they are all still here for the most part. And however, when we send somebody to the academy, they have to sign a 2-year commitment.
Okay.
Their 2-year commitment, when they got out of the academy in 2004, was in March of 2004. Their 2-year commitment ended in March of 2026, 4 months ago.
And they're still here?
They're still here.
Okay.
And they, yeah. And they knew the comp study was coming. That has been well received, and that's why they're here tonight, some of the other officers, and very, very appreciative of anything that y'all do. And so, yes, we lost one who wanted to go back closer to home, okay, and did he pay back? Because they have to pay back everything that we've invested in them as well.
Okay, so there is a payback system
yeah.
if they leave our, okay.
Yes. Yeah, she's a collection agency.
What
We
is
like
the
that.
cost per cadet? Can you break that down for me? Because, I mean, obviously, looking at the pay rate that you gave us and then this, it's more. So I'm assuming that includes some training, but can you break down the actual cost?
The academy itself is $2,200. Then uniforms,
Okay.
Okay.
then, yes. And they are employees, and we pay them
Sure.
we pay them to go to school. That is their job, and that is not to do anything else.
But learn.
And
Yes.
because if they don't pass, then they have to pay it back.
The good thing about the cadets is we hire them, we send them to the academy. You have 25 to 30 other cadets in there. Some are sponsored like they are, like we sponsor. A lot of them are unsponsored, and they're looking for departments. So we hire good cadets that would only we think will be good officers, that will be good recruiters for us. So now they're in class with them every single day. They can tell us, hey, this person wants to apply, so this person is good. They can be our recruiter,
Okay.
recruiters within that class. So maybe we'll have some that we didn't hire to put in there, but we'll hire them halfway through after we kind of vet
That way we save the tuition and the salary up to that point. And then as soon as they get out, then that's when we pick them up. So there is potential for savings on the front end of that as well.
I say we throw that up on that board.
Everything is on the board.
Have we said no?
You can put a circle around it.
Yeah, that's a good
that,
thing.
right, that one,
So
yeah.
That goes into the
Right.
next budget period.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why I like the little line you did that. So,
Well,
yeah.
and truth be told, if you look up there on our tally board, the total is running up on the top. So we're at 1.7 with a total of 4.6, and we got the world famous
I was
Mr.
gonna say, wait a minute, we got
Oh,
Michael
wait.
standing back
Here
there
comes
flexing
Mark.
already, so,
So,
yeah.
he's left after
Oh,
our police department here, so
Yeah.
he can ruin that number real quick.
He
just-
is. I'm
ju-
looking
just,
at it right
he-
now.
He can be a
Michael,
be a
what the
buster.
heck?
Michael.
what? Who?
Save the most expensive for last is what I'm seeing, the most
Do
stressful.
we have streets that can be
Yeah.
swept?
And
Michael,
and
Come on.
I just wanted to say,
You weren't getting it,
Okay,
Michael.
okay,
Sorry.
Chief,
Yeah,
let me
Chief
get you
still
back
has
there.
some.
Okay, okay.
yeah,
Chief,
I just
yes.
wanted to say one final thing, and it's in the notes, that our trending call volume is up 38.6% from 2025. And if you want to extrapolate that on out, that will be, pardon me, 2025, we answered 3,277 dispatched calls. Then in 2026, to date, we're at 2,651, and if we stay on that same trend line, we will be at 4,555 calls for service. And that is the 38.6% net increase in call volume. However, that does not include all activity. That does not include traffic stops. That does not include community engagement. That does not include when we encourage our officers to get out and go walk Main Street, get out and go walk neighborhoods and just talk to people. Every encounter is documented. And so when you add that activity into it, as a reference, that is up 63.7%. To start back in 2024, we had 10,825 total encounters, and that includes the calls for service, everything. And in 2025, that went to 17,721 encounters. And if we to 2026 year to date, we're at 9,086, and if we stay on that same trend line, we'll be at 20,374 encounters.
I've only called twice.
Oh,
I'm part of the problem.
I say, oh, you're one of those people.
Yes, on North Avenue H.
I'm not opening my mouth. Chief and I in
Yes.
front of me out.
So that just gives you a little perspective of what the officers and the detectives are dealing with. And we try to use technology as much as we can. This way we can reduce the officers' time and so get them back out. The International City Managers Association and the International Chiefs of Police Association, they use what's called the Rule of 60 for staffing. I'm sure you've all heard the old adage of 2 officers per 1,000 people. That is incorrect. That has never been accurate. And what we do is, on average, 60% of an officer's time per hour should never exceed, their obligated time, which is 911 calls, should never exceed 60% of 1 hour. That's 36 minutes. Therefore, 24 minutes out of that hour should be unobligated time devoted to community policing projects, community engagement, special projects, traffic enforcement projects at the intersection. We had a very significant traffic enforcement initiative on Main Street this past 2 weeks on the truck route. And so hopefully we'll see that fall for a while, and then it'll come back. So that being said, they're running from call to call right now. Hence the, I don't want to call it an argument that was in our briefing room between the 2 sergeants, but
At least you don't get any PIRs. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's, y'all approved, I've got my own person for public information, because
Thank you for keeping us safe.
you're welcome. Going back.
Much appreciated.
Yes. I feel for Peyton, because she, on her PIRs, but we get about 1,300 a year on those. And some of them are easy to fill, some of them are not. And that we too have to do the Attorney General thing.
So Michael said he's gonna come down running with a chair down the aisle. Don't think he's style. He's gonna bring it. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commander.
Michael, you get 9 minutes.
Damn, all right.
9 minutes.
Well, I bet you he's gonna be like,
Why did he bring his sign?
oh my,
And it's upside down.
he's like, y'all
I
gonna
want
know
y'all
my
to
name.
remember, you'll rue the day you never funded these items. No, I'm just kidding.
I took a picture with one of these
All right, let's
items.
go. We're burning daylight. Here we go. Here we go.
There ain't no daylight.
So as you guys can understand, Michael Gonzalez, Director of Public Works, and a couple other things around here. But really what we're focused today on is these few requests from the Streets Department, and then we got the grounds and fleet maintenance after that. So one of our primary missions there at the Streets Department is not long stretches of paving new roads. It's replacing and repairing small patches. So our utility cuts are kind of the most common thing that we come and patch. You get a main break or a sewer backup, and you have to cut open that roadway, and you go back and patch that street. That's what we do in-house. These long stretches of overlay and things like that, those are contractors that come out with bigger, larger crews. So the primary vehicle that we use to do those patches is the backhoe loader. That there, John Deere 410 at around 135. We have 2 loaders in our streets department. One was bought in '94, and the other was bought in 2005. So this would be replacing a piece of equipment that's near about 20 years old, but what we do is we bump off the last one. So if you need to, in a system to maintain, you just bump off the last one. That's what we do with each of our vehicles. Stretch out the miles as long as you can, and then just bump off the last one that's really unsafe, undrivable, things like that. Pickup truck for streets, same thing. This would be our streets department that are rolling around to different sites to making those utility cuts and patches. The crack seal machine extends the life of your roadways by putting in a coat of sealant over those cracks. So the main thing you want to protect is waterproofing on your roadways. Any roadway, no matter the age, is going to develop cracks over time. Crack seal machine extends the life of that roadway. Well, don't you have a crack seal machine? Yes, we got it from the county near about 15 years ago for $1. This is the replacement of that machine. Paint machine, same thing. We're doing striping, not only parking lots, but crosswalk stripings and things like that. Water truck. It's around the 1990 model. It's got a transmission in it that's no good. So water truck there, important for processing base. We go in to make those patches, things like that. So the street resurfacing project is something that had been funded many years ago. This is a recommendation to bring it back, but look at that price tag. That's something we've got to start with. If we think of these priorities, it's in priority order from top to bottom. And when you go to cut, you cut whatever you want, but from the bottom up is how the staff sees that as a priority. Street resurfacing was a program. What we do is we hire a contractor to do large stretches of roads. Ward 4, I think, no, it's the other, yeah, Ward 4. Ward 4 was the last ward to kind of get the majority of that. Spent some time in Ward 1 before that one as well. And then sidewalk repairs is a program that we had not to do long stretches of sidewalk, but just areas that had bad upheaving and cracking, things like that. You see that in some of our older neighborhoods. Older neighborhoods that have sidewalks, that's where we go to repair. And then
Some of us don't even have curbing.
that's right, yeah.
We have culverts in Ward 4.
I'm aware where your ward is. I know where you live. So we can go back and do questions about each one of these. The last one there is the street sweeper, and understandably, we've gone through these budget exercises year over year. It's low-hanging fruit, the easiest one to cut. And I want you to think of it as, that's something that you use on special events to pick up litter and that kind of thing. While that is true, these things are intended to preserve roadways as well. So there at the edge of the curb, you get silt and buildup, something washing off from somebody's driveway, grass clippings, leaves in the gutter. And then what you have in those silt buildup is vegetation that starts to grow, and then rip apart the seams of that roadway. It happens, it's understandable. Our way to combat that right now is 4-team member to do curb and gutter cleaning with a backhoe, a dump truck, and 2 guys loading the silt into the backhoe. It's fine, we do it. With a 4-member team doing that specific task, they're not doing road patching, but they're also can only average about 4 city blocks either side of the roadway, those that have curbs, and to remove that silt. One of the common areas is kind of the low-lying area of Avenue C. We're there quite often, and it just kind of gets something that backs up. So the street sweeper is there to reduce that number to 2 operators, and they can do longer stretches. We don't know how much they can do because we don't have a sweeper, but when we do it in the way that we're doing it now, completely fine, it can happen. It's a 4-member team, 2 big pieces of equipment, do about 4 blocks a day, and that's about as much as we can do. So hold your questions to the end, sir.
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez, please, let's stop here because I think, just take a breath. So I think there's been pictures of us on
Yeah,
your
I
street
Yeah, we
sweeper.
send them to him.
Yeah, we sent some photos.
Yeah.
Pam, you can put
Quite
8 years up
hurtful,
there instead of
actually.
7.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you gotta put that up.
I did. I saw it as soon as you
Has asked
did.
for 8 years. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
quite hurtful to go to these TML conferences.
and see the
I think
same
you
street
Yeah.
sweeper.
You
secretly
need to
enjoy
put your
it.
card in the bucket. You
That's
might
right,
win
you
it.
could win
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You could
won't.
win one. No, I know.
They never do.
We
So,
all gonna put a card in there this time.
okay. Well,
Do you
sorry,
have more
Michael,
questions?
I actually did have a question for
You
you.
go ahead.
Or responses. So while Michael did well in just going down the list, I do want to say, in all truthfulness, this is a very serious conversation that obviously I think we all recognize for sure. And while we downplay maybe that street sweeper, I'm glad he brought it up the way he did because in truth, as he said, water is what kills streets, and we have a engineer down the way kind of just shaking silently with that steady stare, agreeing with me. And I think I am. And with that being said, we know it's a big piece of equipment, but I think this is one of the ones that I'm going to interject. And not just say the street sweeper, but in there, I'm going to take a real hard look at these because, again, I think, and I want to make a big assumption here, this is one of the things that all of your areas are being asked for. This is common theme throughout. But it goes more than just the safety, security, it's quality of life, it's how we live, it's how your cars are operating, your trucks, everything else. And if we're not gonna explain it one way, I think you do it when we explain it by how many people it takes. That, by the way, those 2 other people can be doing some other thing for you.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Give me a price. I wanna see what it costs for people per day with this equipment and how long it would take to do the entire city. And show me how much that would cost in comparison to 2 people.
Challenge.
All right,
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
all right, we'll get that number.
Okay.
Thrown down.
I mean, then maybe you might not just get a bunch of pictures of all of us standing by one, and maybe you could actually get a picture of yourself in one taking it home.
Okay, fine.
Dang.
It must be getting late.
A little feisty now.
All right, next slide.
Next one.
No, I'm kidding.
Mike, to the side.
No, I think she's right in saying that because that's the same thing I would ask too. I mean, if
Well,
we're
yeah,
spending
because I
4
mean,
people
if
doing
it's
it,
4 people in
2.
4 blocks, that's obviously not very long. So call your company, find out how many blocks they can do in a day with 2 people, break down those prices for me, and come back to me.
Love it.
I don't think it's a company,
Okay.
I think it's.
We'll come back with the number. And also too, on that priority list, cleaning curb and gutter out of the items that we have to do is low task priority. It's something that we want to get to, but we got patches and we got blocked roadways and we've got upheaving that's preventing traffic, so,
Right, but if you have 2 extra
Yes.
free people,
yes,
you have 2 extra free people.
that's right. Let me go back a moment.
I do have a question though, for like, do y'all have a separate budget in case something happens to, like, say this, the possible street sweeper sucking up something that will break it? Do y'all have like a way to repair it, or
Maintenance
is that
budget.
gonna be under warranties?
For a while, it'll be covered under warranty. I don't know what that warranty period is, but yeah, all of our fleet is covered under a fleet maintenance program. So a similar type of piece of equipment we have is a vac truck. Can't do the same thing, right? So a vac truck will get you like this, and a street sweeper will get you like this. similar type machine with complicated equipment on it.
I
On our
know what you're
worst
saying.
year, we spent about 14,000 trying to replace a very specific part. Year over year, it's less than 1,000. It's oil and this maintenance, things like that. So that's what we're anticipating for something like this in a street sweeper is year over year, about $1,000 in oil and maintenance and things like that.
And just to let you know, the way we're totally laying everything out there and trying to work this, when we start talking about water, wastewater, which is a whole nother fund, there's opportunities when we talk about that as well, that there's cross-pollination in what we do, because by the way, when you open up a busted water line, you're forced to then close it, which means a funding opportunity presents itself for an opportunity to go ahead and have some machinery that does two things at once, right? But it's funded through another source legally, and because it's a qualified expense, because you have to then close that opened street because of a water line break or a busted sewer line or whatever it may be. So just know we're going through all this exercise with a lot of different ideas. It's not just general fund, general fund. We're talking about that, but there's some cross-pollination we're thinking about too. Michael?
I didn't want to leave the street slide without mentioning that that program of street resurfacing, that milling and overlay, is a program that we had and that we recommend bringing back, but just look at the price tag. That's where your 4.1 or something, that's where $500,000 of it's coming from. Something to consider. It's not the staff's opinion to.
Wait, what was that? You can put it back, it's okay.
Yeah, it's on there. Street resurfacing.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's where, as everybody brings a request, that might be one of the top ones up there. That's just that big expense. So something, we can do around 5 city blocks with about that much. Different areas of Ward 4, that's about how much we did. But that's where a lot of this expense came from, is from that big ticket item. Street sweeper too, but $500,000 there from street resurfacing.
He's trying to click, that's all.
So now we move over into the grounds maintenance. So this is the crew that takes care of all the parks, all the public buildings that have lawns, and also a lot of the right-of-way around in town. Majority of the right-of-way that is mown is from this crew here. So just a pickup truck to move equipment and material, people. Equipment trailer that hauls the mowers. These are replacement Kubota mowers, and so when we have around 6 in the fleet, the last 2 drop off and we replace them with these new 2. And then a larger tractor there with the shredder. So we have 1, this will add to that fleet. We have 2, this will add to that fleet and bump off the last one. 2 of those large batwing shredders. Grounds maintenance technician. So early we heard the recreation division talk about putting our fields into better service with these teams that'll be playing on them. The whole division as a whole is 11 folks. This will just add 1 more to make that to 12. So while they're doing all the parks, the right-of-ways, this adds to that force to kind of get things in playable condition.
How many mowers is this for?
2?
Just
Yeah.
2 of them?
So the Kubotas, there'd be 2. We have a fleet of 6, and it's typical each year that we rotate 2 off. Replacement. No, for 2.
So that's 12,000, well, 18.
All right, this is the building maintenance division. So we kind of taken a different approach on what you try to think of in the vehicle's life cycle is what's the heaviest thing that it can pull and what is it going to be doing the majority of its life. And so when you get to the streets vehicles, those are heavier pieces of heavier trucks with larger transmissions. The fleet building maintenance division, they're not going to be hauling that much stuff, but what they do haul is specialized tools, light bulbs, spare batteries, ballast for all these lights, air conditioning filters and things like that. The approach we're taking is to put that into a van where it can be locked up and they can have the majority of their tools there in that van. These are 2 vans that we're requesting. And then also too, something that cuts down on your time is you get to a job site, oh, this takes a different specialized tool and going back to the yard, trying to pack as much into those utility vans. So there still may be that possibility where they return to the yard, but try to keep them in the field longer. One is a replacement and one would be for new, and that reflects the building maintenance technician that we're trying to add to this division as well. So some of the new buildings that came online recently is the police department last year, and what we're doing is just kind of spreading our existing staff thin to try to cover some of the maintenance items that happen at that police department. The museum will soon be part of the city operation that we kind of help out down there, not only with repairs, but janitorial services. Freight depot, back under the city's purview for maintenance and custodial services. You guys might have been down there pretty recently in the last couple of weeks and seen how good it looks now. And so adding technicians to take care of that added building space is about 14,000 square feet of added building space we've had since #24. So coming online. Notwithstanding the rec center, library that we have here, City Hall and its aging condition, our two buildings that we have at the Public Works and then the Fleming Community Center as well. So maintenance on all of those items, janitorial services on all of those items. That's where we're coming up with these two positions to be requested. Questions I can answer about the Building Services Division and those requests? Go, 5 minutes over. I'm sorry.
You did good.
Man, it's pretty close. Maybe if you say it fast,
We'll put it on the board.
you could just throw it on.
Say it fast, we put it on the board.
I don't know, is that the last slide?
That's the last item.
Yeah.
I want to point out that it says 5 million, it's because the comp study said to be determined, and so now I added that dollar amount in there.
Oh, so it's went from 4.6. I got you. So, just also, I'm sorry, on the total for the estimated cost, like the, remember it's 4 points. No, you're talking about the total estimated cost?
It's 5.3.
Right. So what we're talking about with 4.6 when we started, she hadn't put in the cost of comp study. So when we do that, right, it's actually 5.3. So we came in, we should have already started with that. It was 5.3.
And if I understand, it did not include the chief's fleet, excuse me.
Yeah, because that won't start until next year.
Right.
Correct.
Right, so it didn't include it.
And next exercise is, again, we're gonna take this back, we're gonna mull this over, and even that 3.4, we're gonna digest, make some big adjustments or some decisions to adjust some things if we can to move things over. And then come back with you, and then when we put the monies involved, then it'll start to make more sense to say, okay, now with money here, remember when we talked about Michael and the sweeper? Well, you get 3 of them now. That's not gonna happen, so.
Would you accept less for resurfacing?
Wait, what board are you resurfacing?
Sidewalks, curbs.
We don't have sidewalks, we don't have curbs.
There you go, Mayor. It's your meeting.
Any other questions before we adjourn? I know y'all are ready to go.
Peyton's trying to get you.
Next meeting?
So we do have a meeting on August 4th, so next Tuesday.
Is?
We did have a 3rd agenda item.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, quickly, sorry. It's a quick one. This has been ongoing, is to discuss strategic goals and planning. So I think it's just not the right timing for a lot of different reasons. We just came out of strategic planning. And then also, this also dictates kind of how we move forward. And there's some items called out to say, please focus on this, please focus on that. I think we're gonna be addressing that in an upcoming meeting as well. So a lot of that's gonna come out. But that'll also be in the more finalized document. Once we get through all of this, that'll start to materialize. You'll get back Serena's thing, because I think that's what happened last time with Mr. Turner. Same thing with us, but we just need Ms. Breland's stuff to come out, and maybe even some of Ms. Kelly's stuff, but that's when it should be. It's on your agenda because that's when it was last year with your first budget meeting, so we kept it there for historic purposes only. There's no action tonight, we just want to make it known that we're not saying why was it not. That's all, right, Ms. Secretary?
10:10.